It's the biggest video game convention in the universe, and IGN will be there live from Cologne, Germany.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom.
Expect some of the biggest game reveals and announcements of the year.
Tons of world premieres.
Never before seen looks at the most anticipated games like Starfield and Lies of P, as well as exclusive gameplay deep dives.
This seems crazy ambitious.
And tons more.
We're going to be here all week on the show floor.
So cool.
IGN Live at Gamescom kicks off August 22nd. Don't miss a second of it.
Gamescom is a week-long celebration that brings together the gaming industry and community every August in beautiful Cologne, Germany. It's the biggest gaming convention in the world, and I've never been. Until now. My name is Stella Chung, I'm a host and producer for IGN, and this year, I'll be exploring the absolutely massive convention space to experience as many booths and activities as I can, conducting interviews, playing games, and showing off my love of cosplay during Gamescom's world-famous cosplay competition. And you're gonna be riding shotgun for the whole wild ride. It's happening, it's so cool! This is my first Gamescom. I love it here. I wanna move here already. Cologne, Germany, home to a dozen of the most picturesque cathedrals in the world, including the epic Dom. This is so cool! It's fucking Bloodborne! Today is the calm before the storm and the opportunity to take in the sights of a city that looks like something out of a gothic video game. It's also home to one of the most massive trade fair and exhibition centers on Earth, which is ground zero for Gamescom, and I'm ready to get my first look.
That's where I'm gonna be working? Oh my god, this is actually happening.
I've been to plenty of conventions in the past, but Gamescom operates on a completely different scale. The Köln Messe Convention Center is 3,060,000 square feet and plays host to over 300,000 people when Gamescom comes to town. It looks really cool. I mean, have you seen this? Like, I'm so excited to see everything in its full glory. Developers ranging from giants like Microsoft to indie upstarts all come together to hype up their upcoming releases, dole out exclusive merch to fans, and provide unique experiences and memories that will last a lifetime. Or at least until next year's Gamescom does it all over again. Now, where the heck is that IGN booth?
Seeing the Gamescom IGN studio for the first time made me kind of giddy. I never thought that I was gonna get to this position when I started at IGN, and now I'm at Gamescom and like helping host stuff. So seeing that like box, that iconic setup, I was like, holy shit, this is for real. Like, I'm actually here. I think it just hit me that I'm in Germany. I'm at Gamescom. There it is, it's real.
Now that the booths are built, it's time for preview day. The Xbox booth is right there! Ah! Since I work for IGN, I get a chance to experience the floor to get a head start on coverage, but for now, I'm entirely focused on escaping this Christopher Daniels hammerlock. I wanna do some crazy shit, let's go!
Literally just take this wrist and pop it up here, and just right behind the back, and then just start twisting this way, and then ask her where her wallet is.
I gotta be in an arm lock by Christopher? Hell yeah.
My parents were a little strict on my gaming time growing up, but now that it's my freaking job, I'm getting caught up on some of the retro games I missed out on.
We've got the GameCube over here, SNES, N64, like everything that you could ever think of, it's here, which is so cool. I have never played this before in my life, so I have no idea what to do.
I'll be a Donkey Konga pro in no time.
I had 53 misses, I don't want to talk about it.
My feet are already killing me from all of the walking, so I'm stopping by the Hyenas booth for this gravity-defying photo op. At least, I can imagine I'm off my feet.
Oh, that looks so cool! Makes you look like a badass.
Now, it's finally time for the doors to Gamescom to be open to everyone. Over 250,000 people from more than 100 countries are in Cologne to experience Gamescom, and right now it feels like every single one of them is between me and the show floor.
You can see the crowd is so excited. They're piling in. The doors are open now. It is officially go time.
Even knowing how big this event is, I was not expecting a crowd this big.
I'm so close I can taste it.
Gamescom truly has everything a gamer could ever ask for. Hungry? There are fry stands galore.
You gotta have your fries.
Sore from your flight? Go treat yourself to a session in a gaming massage chair.
Are you tired of carrying your teammates on your back? Well, now you can get your back massage as you carry your teammates in any game you play.
Got cash to burn? There's more merch that you could ever dream of stuffing into your luggage. I feel like I haven't even fully scratched the surface. What else could Gamescom possibly have to offer? Oh, right, only a full-on metal concert. I've never been to a metal concert, and bonus, I have a VIP pass. It's all in celebration of the upcoming Metal Hellsinger game, which mixes first-person shooting and rhythm mechanics into a diabolical cocktail of musical mayhem. And that's a pretty good way to sum up the show featuring the artists behind the game's soundtrack. Like Ivan from Disconnected, who was kind enough to come over and melt my face off during the show.
So I was on the official stream, and look at how many people saw it. So many people were like, yeah, of course Stella's having fun. What do you do with that? Like, what do you do with that?
What am I missing here? Oh, of course, games. Games, and more games. I'm taking some time to check out some upcoming indie games on the show floor today, and don't let the shorter lines here fool you. There are some one-of-a-kind gems over here.
There's a ball controller?
I'm really enjoying Wildwoods, a multiplayer game where you play as cats driving a wagon through the woods and defending it from evil bunnies. And honestly, more games should have cats driving a wagon. I'm just saying, Metal Hellsinger could totally do something with that. Of course, no gaming convention would be complete without cosplay, and Gamescom features world-class artists coming together to show off their work. And being a cosplayer myself, I'm excited to say that Gamescom invited me to walk the stage during their cosplay competition. I'll be going as Hu Tao from Genshin Impact, and I spent a lot of time in the lead up to Gamescom getting my costume just right.
I haven't played with clay in so long, dude.
And even though my costume made it to Cologne intact, it's reassuring to know that even if something does go wrong, there's an entire section of the cosplay village devoted to repairing minor and major damages to costumes and props. People helping people. You really love to see it.
Look at how cute he is! Oh my god!
I'm spending my morning hosting the Gamescom Awards show, and this crowd of hundreds of fans is so excited to see which games will win a prize. That, and I think they're pretty stoked to get some prizes of their own. But as thrilling as it is, I also know I have to save some energy for tonight's cosplay competition.
It's time. I have to put on my cosplay and get everything ready, so yeah, I'm gonna go do that.
The excitement in the cosplay village is palpable even for those who won't be vying for the top spot in the contest. It's really inspiring to see so many passionate cosplayers back together in person after a few years of remote events. With the competition underway, I have little idea of what to expect. Waiting backstage, you don't get to see the other contestants walk.
I am very stressed out because, yeah, there's a lot of really good people in it.
But there's my music, and that's my cue.
Please welcome with the biggest round of applause, Stella Chung as Hu Tao from Genshin Impact.
Even though I'm a little nervous, it was so cool to show off my hard work in front of a very gracious Gamescom audience.
Oh, amazing.
Oh man, okay, so that was a pretty exhilarating experience, not gonna lie. So as soon as I got out there, I was blinded by the amount of people that were out there. But overall, it was really cool to do. I was glad to just participate, even if I wasn't getting judged. I'm very happy for the opportunity. I think my heart has finally calmed down now, so that's good.
Wow, I can't believe it, but my first Gamescom is coming to an end. It's been an incredible experience.
Wow.
I knew it. I knew it.
Like, this is hard?
Gamescom may be all about the hottest upcoming and newly released games, but a big part of what's made my first Gamescom so amazing has been the community, both on the show floor and behind the scenes.
He's like, I just wanted to play some games.
The gaming community is fantastic, and seeing everyone being able to reunite in a physical space to celebrate games they're passionate about feels great. And on that note, it's also been amazing getting to bond with my coworkers in person throughout the show.
I get to be the passenger princess.
My producers have taken care of me and stayed calm and organized even through the most unexpected situations. I've gotten to see my colleagues excel at their jobs firsthand, and all this hard work has brought me closer to my teammates than ever.
Oh my goodness, everyone, I never thought I could say this, but Robert Pattinson is here in person with us.
If there's one thing I know now, it's that Gamescom has had even more to offer than I could have imagined. The only thing more exciting than my first Gamescom is the idea of going back for seconds. And that's not just for the doner kebab. I absolutely can't wait to do this again and discover even more of what Gamescom has to offer. What an incredible experience. I honestly would not change a thing.
Since Black Myth Wukong released its first trailer 3 years ago, every year on August 20th, the developer Game Science has shown something new about the development progress of the game. However, what's different this year is that we finally got to play it. My 45-minute demo provided 3 boss fights and a relatively complete chapter experience. It's worth noting that after the event, the dev team made some adjustments to the trial version based on the feedback and suggestions received during the closed-door evaluation that I participated in. As a result, my experience may differ slightly from what others experienced in Hangzhou and at Gamescom in Cologne. Due to time limitations, this trial version did not include the level up system. However, it provided players with a set of skills and equipment that will be obtained in the mid-game of the final version. In addition to basic light and heavy attacks, the protagonist's attack stances can be switched between 3 different postures, including smash form, pillar form, and thrust form at any time. Furthermore, spells such as Immobilize, Stone Solid, Ring of Fire, and the Pluck of Many are also available for use. There are also 2 transformation abilities. One turns you into the previously seen Fireblade Wolf, and the other results in a creature with poisonous attacks. Additionally, players will find and collect certain potions for in-game use. It's important to note that these configurations may vary slightly depending on the different stages. The first boss is named Centipede Guai, and it appeared in the first 13-minute gameplay trailer released in 2020. This time, it awaits players in a horrible cave. Its attack methods include rolling and heavy punches, as well as the ability to release poisonous gas. This gas inflicts a slow-acting poison effect on the protagonist, causing gradual health loss, which can only be cured by consuming antidote potions. However, this boss is considered relatively easy overall in terms of difficulty for this trial version. After becoming familiar with its attack patterns, most players should be able to defeat it easily. The second boss is the Macaque Chief, as seen in the Snow Mountain of the 2021 trailer. This time, players can experience the sequence just as it was shown. You can observe how the protagonist's movements and combat in the snow-covered terrain dynamically affect the accumulation of snow in real time. This battle also holds a secret. If the Macaque Chief's health is reduced to half within a certain time, it triggers his second phase. To encounter the monkey with wings, the protagonist needs to venture deeper into the scene. In this state, the monkey's aggression, attack range, and attack patterns all increase significantly. It gains the ability to launch aerial assaults against the player, making for a thrilling and intense encounter. The third boss is the Tiger Vanguard, who appeared in the 2022 trailer. This time, the Tiger Vanguard awaits players as challenges in a blood pool in a temple. According to the developers, this boss will play a role in the storyline as an NPC who imparts the Stone Solid skill to the protagonist. Therefore, you will witness him using this skill during the battle. One highlight of this scene is how the water reacts and changes dynamically with the actions in combat. The Tiger Vanguard boasts the highest attack speed and aggression among the 3 bosses. Not only does he possess both physical and spell-based attack abilities, but his combo attacks also deal substantial damage, making it easy to fall victim to his assault. The chapter experience provided during the Hangzhou event that I played the game at is called Purple Cloud Mountain. The overall scenery is somewhat reminiscent of the in-game footage shown in the 2022 trailer. This is a relatively complete level experience, featuring various environments such as forests, villages, and temples. There are also as many as 4 or 5 types of enemies waiting for players along the way. Don't underestimate these minions, as they also possess the ability to deliver a fatal blow to the protagonist with a single strike. There's also a detour path in the level that players might not easily find, where they can encounter a hidden boss, the Poisonous King. This creature has the appearance of a scorpion-like monster. After engaging in conversation with it, players need to break the wine barrel beside it to start the battle. This hidden boss presents the highest level of difficulty in this trial version. It possesses extremely fast attacks, deals heavy damage, and boasts skills that inflict poison on the player. It took me nearly an hour of fighting to defeat it, and there were several instances where I succumbed to poison before being able to use the cure potion in time. And while Black Myth shares some similarities in its mechanics with the Dark Souls series, the combat feel here is quite distinct from any other similar games. In my opinion, this distinction arises from the fact that in other Souls-like games, players typically wielded weapons like swords or axes, with the grip at the weapon's end during combat. However, in Black Myth Wukong, the main weapon is a staff, primarily held in the middle. The grip on the staff changes according to different moves, creating a varied rhythm and action, even changing the length of the staff in combat. The impact feedback from the staff striking enemies is quite distinctive as well. Coupled with the support from the spell system during combat, Black Myth Wukong stands apart as an action RPG with a unique feel, differentiating itself from other ARPG and action games that have come before. Ultimately, despite developer Game Science providing a substantial amount of gameplay content in this trial version, there are still numerous questions waiting to be answered. For example, whether the protagonist possesses any other weapons, how the level up system works and what the skill tree looks like, and how many transformations and spells are available. All of these questions can only be answered once the game is finally released. Speaking of which, Black Myth Wukong is currently scheduled for release in the summer of 2024 for both PC and next-generation console platforms. For more on your favorite games, keep it right here on IGN.
Once upon a time, there was a plucky squire named Jot. Jot roamed the land in search of adventure, battling beasts, helping the helpless, and generally being very heroic. But then, one day, he discovered something rather curious. A world he never knew existed.
Sir, initializing our Livestream show.
A 1,000 bullets. and 1 mullet.
Badass moderator to take care of our butts. Especially our prices. Destroy these damn robots! Right in front of you! Watch out!
Old school anime action. Wish list now. Mullet Mad Jack.
Welcome back to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following everything happening with new gen hardware and their games. I'm Damon Hadfield. I'm joined here in studio by Matt Kim. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
And we've got Destin Legary on the line. He from IGN's Xbox podcast Unlocked. Good to see you, Destin.
Yep, Ryan has COVID, so you got me. Hi, everybody.
Well, spoilers everywhere. And this week we're going to talk about Gamescom. That's coming up in just a couple weeks. It is the largest video game show in the world in terms of attendees. A couple 100,000 people will descend on Cologne, Germany, myself included. I'll be there, and IGN will be doing its usual live show or be giving you live gameplay demos of all the big games of the show. So please be excited for that. 2 weeks out, probably a good time to sort of share our predictions of what we expect to see and play at the show. We actually know a lot that's going to be there. Both Xbox and Nintendo are going to be there at the show with booths. I think it's Xbox's biggest booth ever. And then Nintendo hasn't been at the show since 2019, so kind of a triumphant return for them. We should know that PlayStation is not going to the show this year. They're choosing to skip it for whatever reason, so no Spider-Man 2. But we definitely will see a lot of Xbox and Nintendo games. And one thing that we know is going to be there is Starfield. There's going to be a Starfield presentation, but the game will not be playable. And Destin, some readers took that as a sign that maybe they should be worried that they're not letting people play it when it's going to be out a week after the show. Does that bother you?
Well, for Starfield, no, not so much, because I think Starfield's a large game where you would need a fairly long demo section to play and really get a feel for the game and get into all the systems, because they have so many options about what you're able to do in the world of Starfield. You can board other spaceships. You could build a spaceship. You can build an outpost. Like, just building an outpost could be a 30-minute demo, right? So I do think that game is a little bit tricky to demo. So for the presentation, I don't mind it that much. I assume it will be live demoed, or I hope it would be. And that's what we end up seeing. There is another game, though, that is there that I don't understand why there's not a hands-on portion, and that's Turn 10's Forza Motorsport. Forza Motorsport can have the assist set, so you can literally just hold the right trigger and drive through the course, and a race takes, what, 5 minutes? So why are we not getting hands-on time with Forza Motorsport yet?
Yeah, that is a good question, because that is also out, that's out in October, I believe. So
yeah,
just around the corner for that one. Mm-hmm. There will also be a presentation for Aura History Untold. What the heck is that?
No idea, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. I'm actually going to be at Gamescom also, so we'll be able to check that one out on the show floor. And Xbox is really hyping this up. It's notable that they are going to have a lot of third-party games there. I find the presentation angle interesting, but I think we're going to know more when we're actually there in Germany, seeing what they're showcasing for ourselves.
Some other games are confirmed to be there at the Xbox booth is Towerborn. That's the next game from the Banner Saga developer Stoic. That's actually going to be hands-on. Other playable games are going to be Stalker 2, Payday 3, Don't Nod's recently announced Jusant, Armored Core 6, really big game, and then Recreate Games Party Animals. Oh, I'm sorry, and then also Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty and Persona 5 Tactica. So Dustin, it sounds like they're going to be putting this large booth to good use with all these playable games.
Yeah, they kind of became the de facto third-party place to demo things. I'm very excited to get hands-on with Armored Core. Stalker 2, first hands-on. That's really, really exciting. I know a lot of fans on the Xbox side are really excited about Persona. So the fact that that will be at the Xbox booth, along with these other heavy hitters, including like Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty, which is coming out shortly, is really exciting. And sounds like, as I'll be doing a lot of field gameplay capture, I'll be spending a lot of time at the Xbox booth this year.
Now, there's no mention for Xbox's lineup. There's no mention of Fable, Avowed, South of Midnight, Clockwork Revolution, or Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2. That one is surprising to me, since that one was announced so long ago. Dustin, these haven't been confirmed to not be there. Any hope in your mind that any of these will make some sort of appearance?
I mean, they are doing live stream presentations at Xbox during the duration of Gamescom. They have so many titles that they've already confirmed that are going to be there. I wouldn't be amazed if we saw something like a Hellblade 2 teaser, but also that team seems to be really buckling down right now and letting everybody else have the limelight and just getting out of the way of Starfield. Like, let Starfield have that moment. I don't think we get hands-on time for Hellblade 2 as example anytime soon. Avowed, they've confirmed, is in super early development, so we're not going to see a title like that. Clockwork Revolution, same story. South of Midnight, a lot of those other properties are just too early, with the exception of Hellblade 2, which I'm hoping is a 2024 release. Maybe we learn more during the Xbox presentation, but I wouldn't hold your breath.
So, Matt, what are you most looking forward to see from Xbox's lineup?
Ooh, I mean, probably Stalker 2.
Really?
But yeah. I mean, I was really excited for when they announced it, and I know because of the developer's geographical location, they've been having a rough time getting to the finish line. But I actually didn't know it was going to be at Gamescom as a playable demo, but I am excited to see more of that.
Yeah, it's a good sign that maybe they're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel development on that game. Dustin, any other sort of like predictions or stuff you think are possible to see at the show for Xbox?
Well, for Xbox, I imagine there's going to be a few interesting news beats that are buried within their presentation. And then PlayStation, who won't be at Gamescom. Last year, shortly after Gamescom, they did a State of Play. And I have to imagine that's how they're going to handle not being at Gamescom this year, because it's looking like it's a bigger event than I expected, given this press release from Xbox. The fact that Xbox is having their biggest booth ever. That's notable, I think. So what is Nintendo's presence going to look like? What are the third-party presence going to look like? I saw a rumor that the Metro team is going to be potentially presenting a new Metro there, for example, because they're confirmed to be at Gamescom on the official website. So a lot of people are getting excited about that. For Xbox, though, it seems like they've gotten in front of announcing what their lineup's going to be, and we will probably get deeper dives on these titles when they do their presentation, and we get our own hands-on time when we're at Gamescom this year.
I'm glad you mentioned Metro. I wanted to bring that up. So 4A Games is the developer of the Metro series. They're confirmed to be exhibiting at the show. They have a booth. Metro Exodus was 2019, several years ago now, and they haven't announced what they're doing yet. So why are they there? I think Opening Night Live, which is the event that kicks off, Jeff Keighley's event, I think Tuesday kicks off the show. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they announce a new Metro game there and then it's, playable, or there's demos behind closed doors or something on the show floor. What do you think?
Totally, yeah. I mean, 2019 is not that long ago, but
4 years?
4 years. Metro's a great series, though, and if they're going to announce a new Metro game, I'm not going to be like, hey, announce something else.
No complaints. Yeah. You mentioned the Nintendo booth, Dustin. Let's talk about that. So we've got a pretty good idea of what the lineup for Nintendo has coming up for the rest of the year. So they have Detective Pikachu and Super Mario Bros. Wonder in October. And then in November, they have a new WarioWare game and Super Mario RPG. You think that's their lineup? That's their Gamescom lineup with kind of focusing on Super Mario Bros. Wonder?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the last time they were at Gamescom was in 2019, and they did a similar thing. They didn't really announce their 2020 slate. They mostly just focused on the fall release schedule for that year. I feel like this is the perfect time to sort of focus again more on Super Mario Bros. Wonder or WarioWare, Mario RPG, as you said. Not sure about Detective Pikachu. We did just see it recently at the Pokemon Livestream. Was it this week? I
think it was just yesterday.
Yeah, yesterday. So I don't know if we're going to see that title in particular, but there's a new Mario game coming this fall, and Gamescom's a perfect place to get people to get the first hands-on for it, probably.
Yeah. Are you excited for Super Mario Brothers Wonder?
I am. It looks great. It looks really fun.
There's also this Untitled Princess Peach game for next year, and then a remaster, I guess, of Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon. Any chance you think those could make an appearance?
At the very least, I hope we get a title for the Untitled Princess Peach game. But yeah, I'm fairly convinced that people who go to Gamescom this year are going to see Nintendo's fall lineup and not much else.
And nothing like the new hardware that's rumored to be released in the second half of 2024.
I don't know anything. I do not know anything, but I do not think that there's going to be a Switch 2 announcement at Gamescom this year.
Just for fun, I'm going to say they reveal the Switch 2 at Gamescom this year during opening night live, and they play Super Mario RPG on it.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. That's Destin's big prediction. Destin, any of these upcoming Nintendo games look appealing to you?
The new Mario game looks great. I'm going to echo Matt's sentiment, but Super Mario RPG is one of my favorite games ever made. I cannot wait for this remake. I like how they handled it. I can't wait to get the shiny stone hidden behind the fireworks and fight Culex at the end of the game again. Reintroduce Geno, visit Mallow again, and go. It's a really touching and endearing game. It was this collaboration between Square and Nintendo years ago, and it was really, really special. I hope more people get to experience it for the first time, and I can't wait to re-experience that particular game because it's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I haven't played it since it was released, and I loved it back then, so I'll be interested to see how it holds up. That's a brief preview of what you can expect from Gamescom coming up in just a couple weeks. As I said, both Destin and myself will be there doing IGN's live show, so look forward to you all tuning in and checking out some cool games at the show with us. We have the results of last episode's poll. We were talking about when developers should leave the last generation behind. Don't let the last generation games hold back current gen games. And the winning result with over 63% was 2 to 3 years into the new generation. So most gamers out there seem to feel like there should be a little bit of a buffer. There should not be like a hard stop at the start of a new generation where they abandon the previous generation. Only 10% said that they should never abandon the previous generation, which would mean just backwards compatibility, right? I was a little surprised at how low that number was because gamers do seem to like backwards compatibility a lot, right?
Yeah, I think the difference is they don't want games to be designed for both new gen and the previous gen. Sure. I think they don't mind it if a game from the previous gen runs on the new gen consoles, and that might be what they're getting at, but yeah, it's sort of a fine line.
Sure, that makes sense. New poll for you to vote on for this episode. What game are you most excited to see at Gamescom? Starfield, Armored Core 6, Super Mario Brothers Wonder? Make sure to vote at IGN.com the day this episode goes live. We'll share the results with you next episode. And that's going to do it for this edition of Next Gen Console Watch. Thank you to both Matt and Destin. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes in our LA studio here to make this episode possible. My name is Damon. We'll be back next episode with more new gen gaming hardware news. We'll see you then.
This here tale begins with Comrade. Since they got reactivated, the long nights of work kept them from remembering. But sometimes, the slightest noise triggers those memories. Kidnappings, assassinations, sabotage. Comrade's done things darker than the devil's riding boots. But the worst of it isn't remembering. It's not remembering why. Enough blarney. Comrade ain't one for sitting still. Because now they're free to choose their own targets and take down the man. When that turret pops, you know all hell's gonna break loose. Isn't it nice to see someone get such pleasure out of their job? Not too many revolutionaries come equipped with their own artillery.
Как спали.
Ну, чё там?
Готово.
Ну и пошли они нахрен.
Спасибо тебе. Ты многим сталкерам жизнь спас.
Ну, давай, малюй картину маслом. Вот поэтому я ни в какие разборки и не лезу. Не хочу пулю поймать.
Ну, не знаю. Между аномалией и маслиной я уж лучше пулю выберу.
Вот ты говоришь, а я прям вижу красоту эту. Не первый год в зоне, вроде примелькалась уже, а каждый день удивляет.
Зона надоесть не может. Говорят, ты знаешь, где вход в фундамент.
Узнаешь мотив? Слышал? Вот это культура! А ты одно и то же по кругу лобаешь.
Сам же просишь. У меня музучилище, если что.
О, месье, прошу прощения. Может, вам к ученым? Профессура. Они вам лабораторию найдут.
Да пошел ты.
Зря ты так с друзьями. Ты же его на вылазки таскаешь.
Чего-чего, а дружбы в зоне я точно не встречал.
Это верно.
Он мучился?
Нет.
Это хорошо. Он этого не заслужил.
А пулю заслужил. Жаль, что ты так с ним поступил.
Мне тоже. Считаешь, я не думал, как обойтись без его смерти? Она не могла быть свободна, пока он жил. Зато теперь посмотри на нее. Нет, Скиф, я не отдам ее никому. Зона дала мне жизнь, новую жизнь. Жизнь, которую я готов вернуть, если потребуется. Я буду защищать ее. Всегда. Охренеть.
Похоже, пора.
И куда ты теперь?
В Припять. Нужно с ним поговорить.
Удачной охоты, сталкер.
Peggy 18.
Sounds like somebody's home. The text on the heart is clearer now. Legible. I knew it would be here, like I saw it in a dream.
I'm glad you're on this case with me, Anderson. Killer left a message.
It's for us.
We were all trapped in a horror story. The horror story wanted us dead. There's something I'm forgetting. Something important. Something's not right!
Major Sarkana, what's your status?
We've lost a lot of men out of heavy rounds, but we're still in the fight!
We're coming to you now.
They're plotting something.
What motive do these creatures have to attack this facility?
These are mere drones.
Then what guides them?
A worthy adversary.
You will pay, you rotten cowards! Eviscerate this abomination!
Delta Wing, report.
The spores collapsed the bridge. There's no way through.
Get into assault position by the bridge.
Let us show them some of Ultima's hospitality!
Come forth and be slaughtered!
Command! This is first platoon! We've lost the square! We can't hold it!
Last question, Dr. Dallin. Are you sure the perimeter surrounding the zone is really enough? If a powerful emission were to occur, we would...
Listen, the zone has remained stable for years. Besides, we didn't establish the most advanced institution in human history without first guaranteeing its safety. As the head of the Scientific Institute for Research of the Chernobyl area, or CERCA for short, I believe the wonders that we will bring to the world far outweigh the potential risks.
How big are these risks exactly?
The zone reveals a whole new world. We can stick with the old one, fearing change. But tell me, do you want our descendants to remember us as cowards? Or as those who dared to venture forward to a new, better humanity?
remind our listeners that a similar incident happened in our region quite recently, ruining homes and livelihoods. However, city officials urge people to stay calm, assuring them the situation is totally under control.
Heads up, kids. Party time.
It's been almost a full year since I first played Endless Dungeon, successor to 2014's roguelike tower defense game, Dungeon of the Endless. And it's come quite a long way in that time. Whether it's a drastically expanded roster of characters, some much-needed meta progression to make each run feel like a tiny step forward, or a combat and an upgrade system that feels much more tightly tuned. So much of this exceedingly difficult defense game feels far more fleshed out. And while I only had a few hours to test my mettle against it, so far it seems like Endless Dungeon will be the roguelite evolution that fans have been waiting for. Like Dungeon of the Endless before it, Endless Dungeon is a 4-player tactical hybrid tower defense game that had me trying to escape a supernatural space station. While last year I only had 2 options to pick from, this time I was immediately surprised to see that the roster has grown to 8, including some of my new favorites, Fassy, a fashionable alien bartender who relies on his mixology skills whilst dungeon delving, and Comrade, a revolution-loving robot who uses his personal turrets to fight the power. Together with a squad of friends, I dove back into Endless Dungeon's unforgiving hallways filled with extremely rude machines and ferocious monsters. The biggest change since I played Endless Dungeon last year is in the existence of a meta progression system. Previously, no progression existed, and what was planned was largely horizontal progression, where new characters and items unlocked, but I couldn't actually become more powerful except through honing my skill. But the people at Amplitude seem to have shifted that philosophy a bit. Now there were also chips, essentially modifiers, which gradually built up my characters so they could do things like passively increase their defenses, give buffs to the crystal bot I was charged with protecting, or reduce the cooldown of my character's ultimate skill. Repeated failure is a hallmark of any good roguelike or roguelite, but knowing each defeat got me a little closer to giving my characters a boost here and there certainly made those losses less humbling. None of these buffs were so powerful that I could brute force my way through a level, and as roguelikes go, my ability to grind my way to victory was substantially lower. But I'd be lying if I said the extra help wasn't welcome. That's because Endless Dungeon remains a brutally difficult gauntlet that proved incredibly challenging even with several of Amplitude's own developers as my crewmates. Enemies were relentless and came at me from every angle, and very careful planning, resource management, and communication was required to keep the enemy at bay. This wasn't my first time in these cutthroat hallways, so I fared much better than a year ago, but clearly, merciless difficulty remains a central focus, and as someone who enjoys a good challenge, that was nice to see. Luckily, Endless Dungeon gave me more upgrades and ways to beef up my character mid-run than was possible in the last preview build, as a whole slew of interesting weapons were now common loot drops to give me an edge in character mid-run than was possible in the last preview build. As a whole slew of interesting weapons were now common loot drops to give me an edge in battle. In one run, I found a flamethrower capable of making quick work of giant fire reverse bugs, while in another, I found a laser cannon capable of ripping through robotic foes. On-the-spot upgrades to my character's stats, like one perk that gave my turret-loving comrade an extra toy to leave behind on the battlefield, were especially useful. Where Endless Dungeon originally had my interest, the version I played more recently has my attention. Here's hoping I can overcome its formidable corridors when it's released later this year. For more, check out our previews of Crash Team Rumble or Lord of the Rings Gollum. And for everything else, keep deploying your defenses with IGN.
Oh yeah, rock and roll!
We're facing a Tyranid splinter fleet. They engaged us on 2 planets, Avarax and Kadaku. I'll be straight with you, Titus. I have my reservations about your reinstatement. There could be questions. Will that be a problem?
No, Captain.
Tyranids!
My pledge is eternal service.
Xenos inbound! Eviscerate this abomination! Come forth and be slaughtered! Open the gates.
Care to see if we can slay more Xenos, Brother Chiron? I thought a piece of that statue would offer more sport.
Hold them back, damn it!
For Ultramar!
For the Emperor!
It's the biggest video game convention in the universe, and IGN will be there live from Cologne, Germany.
Welcome back to IGN Live at Gamescom.
Expect some of the biggest game reveals and announcements of the year.
Tons of world premieres.
Never before seen looks at the most anticipated games like Starfield and Lies of P, as well as exclusive gameplay deep dives.
This seems crazy ambitious.
And tons more.
We're going to be here all week on the show floor.
So cool.
IGN Live at Gamescom kicks off August 22nd. Don't miss a second of it.
Day 1 of Gamescom Studio is here. Coming up today, we'll be checking in with Xbox head Phil Spencer.
IGN's having me on. What's the goal right now?
Plus,
what's your name?
Alan Wake 2.
And who the f*** are you?
Stalker 2. Hellboy.
And tons more.
Gamescom Studio Live on IGN kicks off right now.
All right, hello and welcome to Gamescom Studio 2023, powered by IGN. I'm Brian Altano. I am now joined by my good pals, Stella Chung, Max Scoville, Damon Hatfield. Happy Gamescom, everybody. We did it!
Gamescom.
That's right.
Last night, Gamescom Studio kicked off with Opening Night Live, and today is jam-packed with tons more great gaming coverage.
Be sure you join us this Friday for the Gamescom Awards Show and Sunday for the Gamescom Cosplay Contest powered by Mini.
And in between, we'll be checking out new gameplay, getting hands-on with demos, and giving you booth tours around the show floor.
If you want to stay up to date with everything happening at Gamescom, whether you're here in person or watching at home, Gamescom now has you covered. Explore and discover what the world's gaming industry has in store for you, and go cast your vote for this year's Gamescom Award. Head to now.gamescom.global for more.
The biggest video game event on the planet also cares about the planet. This year's Gamescom Goes Green initiative has made some huge leaps forward. Not only is this year's core event 100% climate neutral, it's also running on 100% renewable energy.
You can also follow the official Gamescom accounts on your social media platform of choice, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, Twitch, or YouTube.
All right, well, we're going to be showing tons of brand new gameplay trailers all week long right here on Gamescom Studio. But now, let's see what's going on out there on the world's largest video game convention show floor. Hey, Seth, what's up?
Hey everybody, Seth Macy. I am here at Gamescom. It is day one. I am sitting in the world's, no, I take that back, the galaxy's most comfortable space chair. I'm actually checking out Starfield right now in this like recreation cockpit. It is pretty unbelievable. Starfield's one of the million things that I wanted to do while I was here. I'm gonna be checking out the retro area. I'm gonna check out the Nintendo booth. I'm gonna check out the Sega booth. I'm gonna check out all the booths. I'm gonna check out the booths that sell French fries as well. That's just the kind of guy that I am. We are here for the entire run of Gamescom. We've got a ton of things happening, live shows, presentations, the award show. You've got to check it out. Make sure to keep it right here on IGN.
Well, it looks like a ton of fun out there. Luckily, we've got a lot of great stuff planned here in the studio as well. Xbox's Phil Spencer will be joining us, as well as visionary filmmaker Zack Snyder.
We'll also see what's going on with Alan Wake 2.
I know this is going to be hard to believe, but all of those are real people, except for Alan Wake, who's a video game character.
But we will be talking to Alan Wake's writer, Sam Lake, who is a real person, but he also played Max Payne, so I guess he's also a video game character as well.
There's also like a live-action Alan Wake trailer where he's played by a real person, so there's a lot to unpack there. Anyway, a real person who's been a video game character is Jeff Keighley, and we caught up with him last night, so take a look.
We had a lot of great reveals in Opening Night Live, a lot of great games. Some of my favorites, Alan Wake 2. I'm really excited what Remedy is doing with that game. We revealed that at the Game Awards back in 2021 with Sam Lake.
Story will eat you alive.
And then he came back at Summer Game Fest this year and showcased Saga Anderson and her side of the story, which is kind of a surprise. There's another playable character.
Sounds like somebody's home.
Out of that came out and wondered, well, what's Alan Wake's story? Where is he? And he's obviously in a dark place. And it was kind of hinted at in the trailer that they put out back in May. Well, it was great at Gamescom to finally get to see the Alan Wake gameplay and the mix of live action elements and what his gameplay is going to be like. So it was a really amazing piece that Sam and the Remedy team put together in Alan Wake 2. So that was one of my favorite reveals in the show, because that whole game now, when you get both pieces of the puzzle and how those stories are going to intersect, I cannot wait to see how it all fits together, especially the live action footage. So that was a fun and surprising trailer. Another game that we were really excited to showcase was Mortal Kombat 1. Ed Boon and the team have done just such an amazing job with all the trailers for Mortal Kombat, and to have another couple character reveals, another couple cameos. I love fighting games as a producer of these shows, because every character reveal ends up being kind of a piece of news and something exciting for the fan base. And we only have to wait a month for MK, but every time Ed shows a trailer, I just feel like they're so well edited, and they're just so fun, and the dialogue and the characters come to life in such an amazing way. So I cannot wait to see how Mortal Kombat, what actually ships in a month. But it was awesome to have Ed on stage as well, which I thought was really great. It was also fun to have Todd Howard with us to talk about Starfield, which we're really, really excited that's coming out in just a week. And that game looks incredible. And, the fact that it's coming so soon, I think, is also fantastic. And there's a lot they haven't shared about that game. So I was excited to have Starfield in the show as well. Another game we're excited to have in O&L was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. That will be coming out on November 10th from the team at Sledgehammer, and that was a really great to see 10 minutes of gameplay.
Charlie, good to go. Roger.
What I liked about that was that we just got to see the raw game, and I always remember the old E3s. those Call of Duty demos were just fun to just see raw gameplay. It wasn't just a trailer, and to have a 10-minute sequence of a game, I think is really great because it gives people at home a sense of what's really going to be in the game and how it's going to play and how it's going to feel. So I thought that was great. And then another game that I thought was just tons of fun was a game called Thank Goodness You're Here. It comes from Panic, the team that's done some amazing games like Untitled Goose Game and Newer, the food game. And I love that group, and we saw that trailer, and it's just like completely out of left field, tons of fun, unexpected. And when you produce these shows, you try and have a bit of a balance in the tone of things. So that was a really sort of fun and different reveal that we had in the show, which I was really super happy to have be a part of it. And then another game that I think was sort of exciting and surprising to see was Black Myth Wukong. And that's a game that has been seen a number of times. I think people always wondered, like, is it real? What's it going to play like? How is it? And we worked with the team at Game Science to put together a trailer. It's actually playable here, the game, which is amazing. So you can actually go hands-on with it at Gamescom. They're saying summer 2024 for the release date. And what I love about that is that this is a new team coming from China, building a game that just looks so incredible and so different. And one thing that's been amazing in this industry today is that it's not just all the traditional big publishers that are making great games. You also have these new groups from around the world building games. And I love bringing new studios to the show. We even had, a Zenless Zone Zero from Hoyoverse, Crimson Desert from Pearl Abyss. So games from unexpected places, and I definitely think the Black Myth Wukong trailer, when I saw that, I said, I definitely want to play that game, and I'm glad it's still, making progress towards the summer 24 release date.
Well, thank you, Jeff Keighley. We'll have a closer look at quite a few of the games that were shown off on Opening Night Live right here on the studio, but also a ton more never-before-seen trailers dropping throughout Gamescom Studio right here, right now. Let's talk O&L. What were some of the highlights of the show for you guys? Max, let's kick it off with you.
Thank goodness you're here.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
That's nice of you to say.
That's the name of the game.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
No, so this is a wonderful little surprise that came out of nowhere. It is a extremely cartoony, what they're calling a slapformer, which I believe is a slapstick platformer. This is from the publisher's Panic Inc., who put out Untitled Goose Game. I don't believe there's any of the same developers involved, but it has a similar vibe. You play as a traveling salesman who winds up in a bizarre little English town, and it's one of those trailers that really leaves you with more questions than answers. But I'm so on board based on the aesthetic. It has I feel like a little bit Adventure Timey, but also just a pinch of Adult Swim in there. But somebody described it over breakfast before I'd seen it as having some Legend of Zelda Minish Cap vibe to it, which upon seeing the trailer, I don't see it all, but that does make me curious.
I'm trying to figure out how this functions as an actual platformer.
I don't think it's a platformer.
Yeah,
They said slapformer, guys. Come on.
Yeah. Yes, there's some jumping and stuff like that, but there's also a lot of perspective switching. So I'm a little confused how it's all going to come together. But it's really fun to look at.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to do a bunch of odd jobs. Oddly enough, the Steam page says that it's got mature content, which isn't really prevalent in the trailer, but I'm intrigued, curious to see what they're doing there.
I bet they have some hidden gems here and there, as you're slap-forming your way around.
Some baughty naughtiness, just some real...
Probably, honestly.
The manic chaos of it all, it gave me a little bit of a WarioWare vibe. There's some of the hand-drawn stuff in that game that looked really cool. I really can't wait for this one.
Yeah.
It's such a delight to have games like that and games that look completely different than that, such as Armored Core 6.
Yeah,
not a slapformer by any means, right?
No. I mean, you can slap things with your mech, but I would not say it's a slapformer by any means. I definitely would not.
Feels like a last resort if you have to slap somebody in that game.
Yeah, no, I'm so excited for this. It looks gorgeous, first of all, and I love sci-fi genres like this, and it's so cool. I mean, this trailer's super edgy. Feed the fire,
Yeah.
And the game is called Fires of Rubicon, of course. I didn't play any of the previous Armored Core games, but this is from Software, and look at this. It's gorgeous. I love Titanfall. So for me, this is hitting all the boxes.
Yeah.
I'm so excited, and the movement looks so cool. I am so excited to dive into this world and figure out all the different lore, and also just I don't know, look at this. Fight as a mech. Like, this is amazing.
Also, like, this has never really held me back from enjoying FromSoft games before, but to get something that's going to be like 4K 60 FPS.
Yes.
And like after, like Elden Ring was like very clearly like a last-gen game running on next-gen hardware. I didn't care. I loved every second of it. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what this team can do with, you know, a little more power under the hood.
Yeah, the boss fights that you can see and the different like mechanics here just look so good, and I am so excited. I love single player games like this, but it's also gonna have PvP. You can 1v1 or 3v3, which I'm really excited about.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't shut off a ton of that.
No.
If you're looking forward to this, I have great news. It is out in like the day after tomorrow. Like, it's out really soon.
And also, I have bad news. You're going to be up here.
Yeah.
So.
I know. Well, I think we might be able to play it here, so maybe I can like sneak away. Can I do that, boss? Can I?
You're gonna sneak away and just go play a game on the show floor during Gamescom?
Okay.
What are you, crazy?
Absurd.
It's
Okay.
illegal.
Over it. I'm sorry.
All right, Damon, tell me about a game you're excited for that we got to see at ONL last night.
I think what stood out to me was Black Myth Wukong, which is a game that I've been aware of because it was announced 3 years ago, I believe, but I hadn't really paid a lot of attention to it. But this trailer, this kind of finally got me on board. I'm one of those people like many that experienced Elden Ring.
Yes.
This is sort of the first game since then that's given me maybe a similar vibe. You know, we've got Lies of P coming out next month, and then Lords of the Fallen in October. But this one looks a little bit more Elden Ring-ish, and it looks absolutely beautiful. It's running on Unreal Engine 5.
Yeah, wow.
Loosely based on the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West. You're going to play as this monkey man journeying to the west and fighting lots of really cool giant monsters. And if you know anything about me, you know I like really cool giant monsters.
You're a big
I love
kaiju guy.
the creature design here. Yeah, this is just like the first time.
Right?
I'm definitely paying attention to this game now. It's also just a single-player game, no online connection, no multiplayer, just a single-player.
I love it.
Action RPG with awesome boss fights.
Yeah, dude, like the weirdness in the character design and enemies and stuff like that is exactly what's grabbing me here. That's my favorite part of FromSoft games, and seeing a little bit of that carried over here. Like it's, the trailer starts with the guy playing guitar,
With
and
no
you look,
head.
and he's got no head.
And
but
it's a
he's
very,
singing. And it looks like
very literal throat singing there.
yeah, it looked like a Christmas ham. It's just horrible.
Stop,
I love
ew.
it. I love it. Yeah, but all the creatures here, the art direction in general, the lighting just looks really, really cool.
His main weapon is a staff, which is a little unusual. I don't know how much like weapon customization there will be.
It's funny because like Journey to the West, most people are probably familiar with that story through Dragon Ball, which was like a loose adaptation. But we've also got Enslaved, the Andy Serkis game that was a Ninja Theory did a while back.
Yes.
And it's interesting to see how different different companies take different approaches to this creatively. But
Yeah, this stage is so beautiful. All of the different locations here. And I love the fact that we are leaning more into like Asian mythos and folklore. That makes me so happy to see. And so like in Korean culture, tigers are very prevalent. So seeing that one tiger guy that you can fight, I'm like, oh my God, yes,
Yeah.
I love this.
Can we run that trailer again? I just want to keep looking at it. It's beautiful. It's incredible looking. Even that boss fight there, like the verticality of doing the big jump, slashing down, crashing through the guy's head, and the boss patterns there. It looks like you're playing like a shmup. Like he's shooting like it's like a bullet hell. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So
Can we talk about that tiger again? Because I feel like we've seen a lot of
for sure.
cool-looking tigers, but I feel like this one kind of had like a grumpy cat face. Like it's sort of just got a. It's like a.
Can this guy hear the music he's playing?
I don't know, but
That's what I was
I think we could drop a nice trap beat underneath that.
Okay. Yeah, I mean the way this game looks is this feels like we're finally at that part where next gen games look like next gen games.
Yeah.
We are maybe leaving some of the old platforms behind that were launched in 2013 or whatever.
There he is. Look at him.
Those eyes,
Just
like bug
Oh, that boar.
Yeah. No.
Snake Man.
Another game that they showed off was Crimson Desert, which is the single-player component to Black Desert Online, which also looks stunning.
Yeah.
More of that. I mean, it's good to know that there are more massive games on the way. Because,
Speaking of which, another one that's coming pretty soon, although a little bit later now, it just got bumped by 1 week to give everybody a little more time to play stuff like Mario Wonder, Spider-Man, Starfield. I could keep going. Is Alan Wake 2. Yeah. I'm really excited for this game. We got a live action trailer last night, or at least one that mixed a lot of gameplay with live action elements. There was a scene where he's basically on a talk show. This did a really good job of like tricking me between what was live action and what was in game, and that's a really cool problem to have, to not know exactly where things are. Obviously, wearing a ton of its David Lynch, you know, inspirations on its sleeve here. The game itself, everything I've seen so far, has like really upped the survival horror elements more than the first one did. Yes. Lots of Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 kind of, you know, inspirations here. The gun combat we saw so far feels extremely RE4. The inventory feels extremely RE4. They're not hiding that at all. And I think it's just really awesome. This launches like 4 days before Halloween now. We get like a proper spooky game. I'm a big fan of horror stuff, and like came out in the middle of summer and didn't get anywhere near the Halloween time. So yeah, I'm excited to have just like a large bowl of Count Chocula and play this game.
Well, you were wondering what to do for Halloween. You can dress as Alan Wake.
That's pretty easy. I just need a beard and hair and 90% there, really.
I'm much more excited seeing the New York stuff in here.
Yeah,
because
that's
I feel
awesome.
like, you know, the stuff we'd seen earlier has a very like Silent Hill, Twin Peaks kind of vibe to it, like small town, forest, and all that. Like, you know, a lot like the first Alan Wake. But yeah, this is kind of got some like Taxi Driver bits to it. You know, like it's definitely a little Scorsese. The talk show stuff is kind of king of comedy. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just it also I feel like it's gonna have some weird tenuous connections to Max Payne.
Yes,
because Sam Lake is showing up as a policeman who looks like Max Payne, but he's not.
Someone else, but Max Payne's voice.
Yeah, exactly.
I kind of wish it got moved back earlier into the month rather than forward, because now Halloween isn't just a holiday, it's a whole season.
It is.
But now this game is arriving just a few days before Halloween, and then we got to move on to Thanksgiving, everybody.
We do. We do. We have to take those pumpkins off the front steps because they're full of rats and roaches and such. What's awesome about this game to me personally is the 2 character switching thing.
Yeah.
And one of them is basically like this very grounded police officer, and you're going through the woods and you're fighting monsters and stuff like that. You've got gun upgrades, you've got you know, mission solving and stuff like that. You're basically putting together clues and puzzles. And the other is just full-on insane psychological horror. This person that's been living in his own mind for like 13 years or something. I don't know how he was like eating or drinking or anything there. Maybe he was just thinking of stuff. But yeah, I'm really, really excited for this game. It's so cool that it's almost here. This, like, easily one of the biggest games at Gamescom. Also, Sam Lake's going to be on our live show this week, so we'll get to ask him all sorts of questions. Let's see. Xbox right now has a massive Gamescom booth. This year, it's literally right next door to our studio here. Unfortunately, I can't see what's going on there because I'm bolted to this chair like a animatronic creature at a theme park. However, my good friend Seth Macy made a short informational movie all about the various sights and sounds. So let's take a look, and be sure to stick around after because Xbox's Phil Spencer is stopping by our booth to chat.
Was ist los, Gamescom? Ich heiße Seth Macy, and I am here at the Xbox booth here at Gamescom. It is loud, it is crazy, and there are a million things to do here. I think I'm going to start with Starfield because that is the game I'm most looking forward to, but also there's a Porsche over there, and I'm going to go check that out. Nice. They got the Starfield suit over there. Let's go. This is ground control to Major Tom. I'm stepping through the door.
Hell yeah. We're going motorcycle.
So close, and I'm not gonna get it again. I'm gonna try one more. Here we go. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Sometimes you just gotta know when to walk away. I'm walking away. Brokenhearted. God! He was right there the whole time. He didn't say anything. It doesn't really hurt. I'm just hamming it up for the camera. is the Xbox booth at Gamescom. Day one, there are a million things to see here. I'm slightly overstimulated right now. I rode a motorcycle. I got a tattoo on my arm. I got inside of a spacesuit, and now I'm flanked on either side by two extraordinarily menacing looking men with a fountain of blood behind me, and it's kind of gross, and I'm a little bit frightened right now. Keep it right here at IGN to see if I survive.
Being in charge of an entire video game ecosystem is a busy job, but our next guest took time from his busy schedule to pay us a visit. Joining us here on Gamescom Studio, the head of Xbox himself, Phil Spencer.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. It's good to have you here on the set to talk about Xbox.
It's awesome to be here at Gamescom. I haven't been since 2017.
Really?
So yeah, were you here last year?
Nope, I skipped last year.
I am like just jazzed. It's so cool to see everybody, and it's fantastic to be at Gamescom. I guess the biggest consumer game show on the planet.
It's huge, yeah. You know what else was cool to see? That
What?
Starfield presentation that you and Todd introed a little bit ago.
It's all Todd.
Yeah.
I was there to intro Todd.
Yeah.
That's my job.
You were the setup guy.
I carry his bag and I intro him.
Starfield's a huge moment for Xbox, obviously. When is the last time Xbox has had a moment this big?
I think everything, every month, every time we're doing something that changes, hopefully enhances a customer's experience on Xbox is important. You think about big new IP that has launched on the platform. I might go back to I had Gears 1. I don't know, like a game that is brand new IP. It's Todd's first game in the BGS team as part of Xbox launching on the platform. It's a big moment, and I'm proud that we were able to give them time, and really, really happy with the results. You have a build,
yeah,
but you're not playing because you're working.
I don't know what I'm allowed to say about it, so I don't want to break embargo.
Have you booted it?
I have turned it on.
That's an embargo break.
Oh no! Well, I'm blacklisted now. Oh well, sorry, Todd. Baldur's Gate 3 is the talk of the town right now.
Great game.
You know, this RPG comes along, kind of takes the internet by storm. Do you think it's set expectations for Starfield, or did it steal a little bit of the thunder?
I don't think it has anything to do with Starfield. I mean, great games coming out, it's a good thing for the industry. First, congrats to Larian and the team. I think it's a 97 rated game or something. As somebody who finished the original Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2, and what was the expansion for Baldur's Gate 1, Forgotten Shores or something? I'm a huge Baldur's Gate fan, and to see a team spend the time to make, I think, a true next iteration of a classic gaming franchise is always just great for the industry.
Speaking of next iterations, Skyrim came out, 12 years ago, just did the anniversary edition, and it's been supported by an amazing modding community.
Yeah.
Has the same thought been put towards Starfield and supporting it into the future?
Absolutely, and I don't want to disclose what the team has been thinking about, but obviously when you're BGS and you've seen the legs and the support that Skyrim gets even today, right? When you look at what the modders have done, it went into the thinking about what Starfield should be, and proof will be out in terms of how people receive the game. But our hope is that it is another game that's around a decade plus longer, later after it launches, and people are still enjoying it.
I think the last time you were in the hot seat was over.
Is this the hot seat right now?
Yeah, the hot seat.
Okay.
Over here on IGN. But you were at our friends Kind of Funny and doing the XCast around the launch of Redfall.
Yeah.
Which was obviously problematic at launch. Have any internal processes or procedures been changed to make sure that sort of reaction or issue doesn't arise again?
Well, we're always learning in everything we do, no doubt about that. I would say that, and I've shared some of this, but with Redfall, it was more of us not using our internal processes that were in place already, just because of when integration happened. I'm not using COVID as an excuse, but we did close the ZeniMax acquisition, and then everybody got sent home, and it was just not as easy as maybe some of the earlier companies, studios that we'd acquired in terms of integrating in our process. But that's all on us, so I'm not trying to deflect any of the criticism. But absolutely, anytime we launch anything, and we're going to learn from the launch of Starfield, we're going to learn from the launch of Forza, and we reevaluate our process, because we want to make sure we're exceeding customers' expectations with everything we do.
Yeah, I'm always sort of curious about that. What causes that result? Like, is it the cert process? Is it like what wall is hit where that sort of stuff is missed? So I appreciate you being candid about it.
Yeah, and I'd say one of the things that was helpful for us with Starfield was our long working relationship with BGS, which you know well. Like if you go back to original Xbox, like in what we've done with those teams. So the relationship between Todd, BGS, and our platform team was just stronger than it was with Harvey, not because of, and the team at Arcane, not because of anything other than just relationships. Like we've just known them longer. So Todd brought in the team brought in the ATG group early to start working on Starfield, and that's on us. Like we should have done that with Arcane. We should have helped them more in the development process, and also just made it clear that shipping a first-party game has a different level of expectation. That it's not always true that every team that comes into being part of a first party is aware of when it launches. Feel great about where we are with Starfield. You know, we put out the review codes last week, so we're giving reviewers plenty of time to spend time with the game, and I think all of that's just a sign of the confidence that we have.
You tricked me into breaking embargo. Thanks.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You're done. No, we do really appreciate people playing and giving us feedback. Like the build that you have, you know, it's not actually the final build. So we're always taking feedback and refining back in, and this is an important part of the process. So thank you for at least loading the game.
Oh, I played like an hour, but you know, I got I got an interview with Phil Spencer to plan for. Another game here, though, that we got to see BCD was Forza Motorsport.
Yes.
You're showing off the Italian track.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But big improvement graphically from what we saw at Summer of Gaming. I am curious, though, what are your thoughts on how Forza Motorsport sets itself apart?
I'll start with Turn 10. I think from the beginning of Turn 10, when that studio was formed, they've always been a technical showcase for us. A gentleman named Chris Tector is the tech architect for us there, and has just done a great job of getting everything out of the hardware. I'm a huge motorsport fan. I've been from the time we launched that, so I've been playing builds and seeing the progress that they've been making. And I think you're right. Like graphically, where they are right now, it's stunning. The game, what they're doing with ray tracing and other things. But I always love that they've Turn 10 is be able to start with motorsport, expand to Horizon, which Forza Horizon's now kind of a top tier Xbox franchise. I think you can't argue about that. It's just like the number of players that game builds, and their relationship with Playground and what they're doing with Fable. I mean, it's just been awesome to see how Turn 10, a studio that was literally just kind of homegrown within Xbox, has turned into such a force for us.
Got any teases for Fable, seeing you brought it up?
I'll let the team. I was actually on Project Ego, the first Fable that we launched, which I find some humor in. The code name was Project Ego with all the personalities involved. But it's nice to see the team kind of embracing what was Fable, the humor, the kind of choice and consequence and everything. So really looking forward to showing more.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the trailer you showed also during the last reveal. But going back to Forza, you actually dropped the number. So is Forza Motorsport becoming a service platform, or like what's with the change?
Yeah, the team service platform. I hesitate a little bit because I think there's a lot of loadedness in
games
like what that means. I think what we see with Forza is the evolution of the experience as much about the tech as it is tracks and cars. And we know that when people make an investment in the game, they want to make sure we continue to support the game. And in some ways, when you put a numeral on the end of the franchise, it instantly says, okay, well now you need to move to like Forza N+1. And it's like, no, we want this to be a place that people feel like they can invest their time, they can invest their experience, and know that this is a place that we're going to be investing in Forza Motorsport for years to come.
You've had a ton of reveals. Avowed was revealed.
Yeah.
What else do I have on?
South of Midnight.
Perfect Dark, South of Midnight,
yeah.
Hellblade, Hellblade 2, Senua's Sacrifice. Can you tell us more about the rest of 2023 and beyond, and sort of like what that's looking like for Xbox?
What I can say is we're going to have more beats to talk about more of what we do because the content lineup is so strong. And I say that completely recognizing that 2022 wasn't so strong. But we have our biggest booth here at Gamescom, and we have a huge presence. I think there's like 30 plus playable games on our floor, a lot of first party games. Towerborn's here, Ara's here, obviously Forza. So like, it's awesome to see the footprint that we have in the game portfolio from our first party, from partners, from Game Pass, all of it. So I think what you're gonna see from us, where maybe the last couple of years we've been more on an annual in terms of when we talk about our games around, I still call it E3, around the E3 timeframe. This year we did Developer Direct in January, we did our showcase. We're here in the biggest we've ever been at Gamescom, and you're gonna see more regular times to talk about our games because the portfolio is deep enough that we can support that.
Matt Booty promised us 4.
Yeah.
Are you on track?
For this year?
Well, let's see specifically what he said. Yeah. 4
Hi-Fi.
first party per year.
We more than that this year. If we start with Hi-Fi, Minecraft Legends, Redfall. Maybe people don't want to give us credit for Redfall. I get it, but I understand. Starfield, Forza. We just dropped Age 4 console last night.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm going to play that. And then going into next year, absolutely. Like we have talked about it as an aspiration. Now we talk about it as our plan.
Okay, got it. Big news, everybody. I don't know if you heard. Final Fantasy XIV is finally coming to Xbox.
I got to go to the show.
It was awesome. Really cool.
Yeah.
I've been covering that story for like a decade. Like
yeah.
Since I started at IGN.
You've been a proponent for it.
Yeah, that community is so welcoming. It's an amazing community.
Being there at the Final Fantasy Fan Fest thing was awesome. The first time I'd ever been. It's just incredible.
And they're stoked about it coming to Xbox.
And so is Yoshi, which is great.
Yeah. Now you hinted that other games.
Did I hint, or was it the CEO of Square that?
The CEO of Square.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure who was clear on who was hinting.
So where's Final Fantasy VII? Are we going to get 16? What does that mean?
I recognize that when people buy an Xbox, they want to make sure the great games that they want to play are coming. And if there's any publisher out there where that hasn't been true, Square's one of the top profiles. So, like, Sarah Bond and I know, fly to Tokyo, have conversations, and we've spent a lot of time with Square. There's obviously business deals and relationships that will have to get worked through on certain games, but I'll say it was really great to have the CEO of Square and Yoshi there to just talk about their commitment to Xbox, because I can say, I'm the head of Xbox, blah, blah, blah. But having the CEO of one of the third parties make a commitment to the platform, I thought was a really meaningful step. So you'll hear more. I'm not going to push them. They're going to have to find their own rhythm. But having him make a commitment to Xbox was really important, both to me, and I've heard it from the community to the community as well. And 14 was more of a commitment.
Yeah, you can tell me off the air, but we got to go right now. Phil, don't go anywhere. We're going to have a few more questions for you. Thank you for watching, everybody. For more on all things gaming, keep it right here at Gamescom with IGN.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed it. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have FOMC? Fear of missing Gamescom? Relax. Gamescom is everywhere you want. Gamescom now. Register now.
Tune into IGN1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
responsible for some of the most iconic superhero movies of the 21st century, and their next project, Rebel Moon, is a space opera that takes us to a whole new galaxy. Please welcome director Zack Snyder and producer Deborah Snyder. Welcome to the IGN studio.
Awesome.
So cool to have you here. So last night, opening night live at Gamescom, you showed the trailer. I was fortunate enough to be there, so I got to look at it. Looked very cool. I think we'll be bringing that up in just a moment. But let's begin at the beginning. Rebel Moon was famously an idea for Star Wars. What changes have you been able to make now that it's no longer tied to an existing universe?
Well, it was an evolution anyway. Like when we started working on the idea, before even it was a Star Wars movie in my mind, it was, a put a team together movie. It was. I'm a huge fan of. There's an adult illustrated fantasy magazine called Heavy Metal that I always was in love with. Just the tone of that really was inspirational to me. Even when I was in the early talks with Kathleen Kennedy about maybe making a Star Wars movie, I would say things like, maybe it could be rated R, and they would say, yeah, no, that's crazy. So I knew it was going to be a bit of a slog.
Sure.
But then after the sale, and they had their own sort of vision for what the Star Wars universe would be, it was clear to me pretty much at that point that it wasn't going to be anything to do with this idea. And Debbie was super happy about that.
I was really happy. Well, I felt like he envisioned this as something that was wholly original. And I felt like I know after working a decade on DC what canon means and what it means to the fans. And I just felt like there would be too many rules and that he could really kind of go crazy if it was something that was original and the handcuffs were off.
Sure. Well, from the footage that we've seen, I'd say it has a very different visual look from Star Wars. Maybe more like a space sword and sandal epic than sci-fi. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say yeah. I mean, I feel like it's science fantasy more than, say, hard science fiction.
Sure.
And I think that was really what I always wanted to do to begin with. It's more of a Knight's Tale than, say, in the tradition of even the costumes and everything. I really wanted this sort of ornate, kind of ancient kingdom that the Mother World represents. Was a thing that I was really interested in, and sort of aesthetically kind of pursuing. Even the robots seem old.
Sure.
And I guess that was really a thing that I was inspired by and kind of chasing in the design. So it definitely, I think in answer to the original question is it's gone on a huge evolution since those early days.
Sure. You mentioned robots. You got a great cast for this film, by the way. I believe Sir Anthony Hopkins is playing a particular robot. You can tell us about that character?
Yeah, so he plays what we call affectionately Jimmy. That's not his real name, but that's what they call the robots. All the robots are Jimmys.
Gotcha.
And he plays one of what a pretty kind of typical battle robot in this world. The only thing that's interesting about these robots is that after the king and Issa are killed, and the queen are killed, the robots whose initial sort of purpose was to protect the royal family, they kind of don't know what to do themselves, and so they end up kind of becoming these sort of conscientious objectors. They don't really fight anymore. And so there's like this whole journey of discovery that Jimmy's on, that Anthony Hopkins robot is on. But he's like one of many, he's like this one of many robots that would kind of be in this same moral quandary that he's in.
Can you tell us more about the Imperium, the sort of like evil empire at the center of Rebel Moon?
Yeah, so affectionately we call the Mother World, and their forces are an ancient civilization that have over the years sort of been led by a single king or line of kings, and they sort of have used up all the resources on their own planet and then basically set off into the stars and basically have been collecting and expanding for thousands of years.
Interesting. Sofia Boutella leads the warriors as Korra.
Yeah.
How'd you end up casting Sophia? What was it like working with her?
Sophia's amazing. I had her in mind really from the beginning.
Very
I would
much
tell
so.
Debbie about, I really wanted Sophia to be this character, and everyone was like, okay, that could be cool, but we should probably look for do like a real audition and
go through the motions.
Go through the. And I was like, okay, well, sure, but
And we tested 5 women.
Yeah.
And Sophia really just shined through because, it's such a difficult role because her character is so complex. She's also the heart of the film, but she also, the physicality required to do the role it was so important to us that it was believable that she was this like amazing warrior. And she has a dance background.
Right.
And incredibly, she learned all the choreography so quick, and she wanted to do all of the fighting herself, and she did. Other than one, we were going to throw her character off the side of a scaffolding, and we were all like, that's not really safe for you to do. She wanted to do it, but everything else she did all her own fighting.
Interesting. So Rebel Moon has been announced. It's going to be a 2-parter. What was the reasoning behind that? And do you know the total runtime of them both put together?
Movie 2 we're still
working
cutting, so I don't know the exact runtime, but they're about 2 hours each.
Gotcha.
The movies themselves, right around 2 hours. I think movie 2 is under 2 hours, but right now. But what was the first part of the question?
What was the reasoning, the thinking behind that? Is it just because you needed more time to?
Oh yeah. So I had written a pretty long script, 200-page script, and the cool thing about Netflix was there's. When I said, maybe maybe a way to go is to just break it into 2 movies because for sure I could cut it to 1, but it's going to kind of make the movie very sort of by the numbers. When you get that, especially a movie like this that's sort of genre specific, like we know the mission, got to put the team together, you got to prepare for battle and then fight them. Not that that's what's going to happen, but that becomes kind of obvious. And then when you really put the screws to something like that, the beats become really set in stone, and there's not a lot of room to move around. And I think by letting it be 2 movies, it really let us kind of have a lot more character and a lot more worlds to visit, and just be more overall exotic and unexpected.
Well, now you mentioned, you explained at Opening Night Live last night, there's a Rebel Moon game also coming from Super Evil Megacorp, developer of the very good Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate game, which is on Apple Arcade. I recommend it. Anything else you can tell us about the game of Rebel Moon?
Well, one thing I could say about it is that the guys over there have been incredibly reverent and faithful to the source material, and they've been incredibly inclusive and really want to talk with me constantly about mythology and about the canon and about the world. And so I would say that though it, as a game, it really will expand sort of the mythology of the universe, and not, even though it's definitely sort of an add-on to the universe I didn't expect, it was a cool place where we thought to explore other things that are happening in the Rebel Moon universe. And the guys have been great to go. I'd say, like, guys, we can't do we can't do that. And then they'd come back, well, what about this? And so we were really, I think, able to land on something that was really world building, but also consistent with the world. So that was fun.
Very cool. Well, we're here at the world's biggest gaming convention, so I have to ask you, is there any gaming property that you both think would make a great movie?
There are some.
Well, there are a lot. I mean, we've talked about a bunch of, Gears has always come up, in sort of our circle.
Interesting.
And I was a fan of the game. So, off the top of my head, that one. I was always interested in the Halo franchise, so that was something that I'd always, and they've, of course, kind of made that, but it was something I always thought could be incredible.
Well, thank you both so much. I'm really excited to watch Rebel Moon when it premieres on Netflix later this year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. This is great. So fun.
Viewers, you can take your first step into a larger world when Rebel Moon premieres on Netflix December 22nd. In the meantime, stick around for more Gamescom Studio right here on IGN.
Tune into IGN1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
Be there. Be strong. Be fierce. Be better. Be different. Be winning. Be epic. Be you at Gamescom 23. Come and be everything at Gamescom 2023.
More than 13 years since his debut, Remedy's fan favorite novelist is returning for his first full-fledged sequel. Here to tell us all about the long-awaited Alan Wake 2, please welcome Sam Lake. So it's weird when one person claps and not several people.
I can clap as well.
Yeah, let's do it together. There we go. Sam, Alan Wake 2 looks incredible. We got a brand new trailer last night, which really messed me up because it actually took me a beat to figure out what was live action and what was in-game. So bravo. Tell me about how that came together, the decisions behind using, real footage and in-game footage. It all melded together. I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah. We have used different mediums for storytelling in our games in the past, and live action in particular. I really, really like using live action. And this time around, we were looking for stylizations and ways to integrate it seamlessly into the experience. Right. And the Dark Place is this shifting dream reality, kind of a layered place where Alan Wake is journeying through these layers, and it just felt very suited for switching the medium to keep you off balance and kind of he's confused, you are confused, and we are going into scenes of live action and then jumping back into the game. And,
right.
And, yeah.
You're trying to keep the audience on their toes a bit there, right?
But it's very much overall survival horror, but the Dark Place experience is very much psychological horror because it's drawing from his head. And he's been there for ages, trying to find a way to escape, write a story to escape. So it's taking from his story, from his thoughts, from his fears, and everything is in one way or the other echoing in that way. So this grimy New York setting, walls covered with graffiti, and all of that graffiti is coming from him.
Yeah.
Or some sort of an echo or a twisted mirror. So it's full of messages.
He's not doing great, right?
Yeah.
Is everything okay?
13 years.
Yeah.
Stuck in a nightmare that kind of just keeps on hammering you with all kinds of horrible things, and he's trying to control it.
Yeah.
Write a story to control it in order to change the reality around him to escape. He has failed.
13 years stuck in a nightmare that's like public school for me. But
all kinds of meta layers and metaphors.
Graffiti, all that fun stuff.
Game development. And,
The interesting sort of spectrum between psychological horror and survival horror. One of them is, obviously historically more grounded, especially in video game form, and the other one gets you a lot more crazy and like kind of outside of the, hey, we're in the forest, and I sort of have an idea what's happening here. Can you tell me about like how kind of fun it is to build on those different spectrums of horror? Because I love both of those things equally in film.
Yeah, me as well, and the Remedy team overall, big fan, and that has been our approach through all of these years. Like Remedy just turned 28 years.
Yeah.
A long journey, that as well, but thank you. Pop culture, being fans of many things, and just drawing ideas and inspiration out of that soup.
Right, right.
And horror being one of them. And certainly we've kind of had bits and pieces of horror vibe and atmosphere in our experiences, but this time we just wanted to go all in.
Yeah.
And different films, and books and all as part of it. I always feel that a single game is such a big world of its own that there is room for different tones and different vibes to kind of dig in and discover. We have a lot of comedy in this as well, and I feel that that's essential, to give you a bit of relief and release before we kind of like chunk you back in to the horror bits.
It's got historically a great place in horror, right? Like I think that the timing element of comedy and horror matches a lot, right?
Yeah.
That's great. Obviously picking up some David Lynch, some Shinji Mikami, but you guys have been around for 28 years, and this is now a franchise that has influenced other games and other things like that. So what do you want like the game developers of tomorrow to be inspired by from Alan Wake 2? Like what's in this game that you're like, I hope this becomes something that people latch onto in the future?
We really wanted to explore, and I feel that that's an important part of a creative process, and I hope that experiencing this game also gives people ideas on the level of like, oh, you can do that as well, or you can go this crazy on this idea. There really are no rules in a way, like you can do anything if you just decide that this is where we are going to go with this, and just go as far as you can.
Right.
Don't hold back. And that to me, I mean, it's been energizing and refreshing in this that just there is a ton of crazy ideas, and then finding a balance between them. Yeah.
Speaking of other games, you moved the release date by a week, and in like an act of transparency I don't think I've ever seen before in game development. And like we're so used to, here's the JPEG on Twitter of the big text, and you see it and you're like, oh no, it's gonna get delayed, right? And I saw yours and I was like, we're in trouble. It's gonna go all the way to next year or something. And it was like, no, it's just a week. And you very openly were like, there's a lot of games.
October is very crowded.
Yeah.
Awesome, brilliant games.
Yeah, and I just appreciated that you're like, there's other games out there, go play them, but also play ours too.
Yeah.
What was the decision behind that? Because I loved it. It's that
well,
kind of transparency
we were looking at the week, and we were looking at these brilliant, giant games coming out, Spider-Man 2 and all, and just felt like, well, we don't have to go neck to neck.
Yeah.
We can just kind of shift it a couple of days to at least
we'll give Mario a few days to hang out and stuff like that. I love it. I love it so much. Gameplay-wise, everything in this game is bigger and crazier than we've seen in the past, but it's not a full-on third-person shooter. You're not running around with a machine gun, running and gunning zombies and stuff like that.
Yeah, that felt like a big revelation to us. Like through the years, we've been trying to make this happen. Done other games in between, and the original Alan Wake was very much an action adventure with a kind of a horror-esque story, and it always felt like they are not an exact match. It turned into an interesting experience, a unique experience for sure. But there were several reasons that we were getting criticism on combat being too samey kind of through the whole experience, because there was a lot of it, like you have in an action game. So that was one thing that we wanted to fix. But at the other time, like we really wanted to do more with interactive storytelling and merging gameplay with story and having elements of gameplay that are about the story.
Right, because those things are always so disparate in games. It's like cutscene, shoot
exactly.
people. Cutscene, shoot people, yeah.
And we wanted to merge that more. So we were looking for solutions, and then we just realized that survival horror, the pacing is slower. It leans much more on building up to an encounter, and then having more strategical resource management, and also giving more variety for combat, having less of combat, having more moments to
breathe
do things with the story. So all of those, like, wait a minute, why haven't we not thought about this before when we started going into this? And yeah, it's been great.
Any like specific horror movies that you're a huge fan of? While I have you, because I know this is like a genre, not even stuff that made it into the game, but just horror movies you love, because I love to geek out about that stuff.
There is a lot in this, a lot of different inspirations, and because we have the Pacific Northwest side with FBI agent Saga Anderson, and then we have the Dark Place with Alan Wake, like it allowed us to bring in influences, like on Saga's side, it's Twin Peaks, of course, and I count that kind of as a horror experience. Lynch's stuff overall, like Lost Highway, is one of my favorite films, and Silence of the Lambs.
Awesome.
On Alan Wake's side, then Seven, serial killer, and pushed so far that it starts to feel like horror at times.
Yeah.
Inception, even though it's not horror, but it's very kind of cerebral and all of that. Midsommar, like folk horror. Art house folk horror,
one of the best horror movies ever made.
Hereditary,
Hereditary, amazing movie.
Yeah,
Sam, that's just like a short list. I love it so much. Thank you so much for coming, man. This has been a blast.
Thank you. Yeah.
Alan Wake 2 is out October 27th for PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. I cannot wait to play it. Stick around for more Gamescom Studio right here on IGN. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
I'm here with Patrick Martin and Mike Mignola, the art director of Hellboy Web of Word and the creator of Hellboy himself, the upcoming game all about Hellboy. Who would have guessed? Now, this is based on Norse mythology. I want to know, where does this fall in the lore of Hellboy, the comics?
The beauty of Hellboy is he's been around for a long time. There are a lot of undeveloped areas, in his timeline. But, my feeling is if people want it to be part of the real Hellboy, they can. If they want to consider it part of, a parallel universe of Hellboy, they can. But I think it's not one of those things where it reinvents Hellboy to be a completely different universe. So it's up to the player if it's canon or not.
I mean, Hellboy gets pretty weird, and this should get pretty weird too because it's a roguelike, which has a certain amount of, randomized elements to it. I'm curious, sort of, with each round, what stays the same and what changes?
So Hellboy himself, he can upgrade some of his abilities and also how strong he is, for example, how resilient he is. Also, he has weapons and charms that he can take into the word with him, and he can augment those as well. So there's a little bit of customization for each of your runs that you get to do, and that's the roguelike element that comes to it. Also, with exploration as well, we wanted to capture the moments in the comics where Hellboy doesn't know exactly what's around every corner. We didn't want you to learn the levels and become better in that way. We wanted you to still feel that there's a level of discovery each time you descend into the word itself.
Nice. Now, there's some very cool creatures that we saw in action. Are there any sort of returning creatures from the comics that we should know about?
We're very lucky that we had a blank slate in that for that, and that also meant that we were free in a way to come up with characters that work for the game, if that makes sense. Very much, and also feel like, say for example, the BPRD members, that these are characters who also, work and would be there in the comics maybe.
I would say it's always good when these things work completely independently. The more you try to connect them, the more trouble everybody has with, does this character appear, in the comic, or is it, it doesn't quite jibe with the comic, stuff. So it's nice that Hellboy has a lot of room around him to create new cast of characters.
Now, the aesthetic for this game is one of the most striking things about it. The cel-shaded look feels just totally perfect with your art style. Was it like this when they showed it to you, or was there ever a version that had more gradient? Did you give them notes on how to make it really have that Mike Mignola look?
No, I mean, I believe the first thing I saw was very much like this. I have no idea how many iterations it went to before they showed it to me. And historically, I am not a fan of people trying to imitate my work. But what struck me so much with this was not that they just got the surface detail of what I do, but the feel, the mood. It was clear that they had analyzed not just, these 5 lines is what he uses to draw a knee, but the whole movement and mood, and they understood why I was doing what I was doing.
Now, I feel like with cel-shaded games, they often have this wonderful high contrast look, but then they get a little bit fancy and throw in particle effects or too many shaders or something like that. Was there ever an iteration of this game where you were playing with that, or was it always the mission to kind of commit to this just dark, stark shadow look?
There have been challenges. There's obviously what Mike does in 2D doesn't wholesale work with 3D. There's certain tricks in video games that you can do to convey depth of field, and we had to sidestep that in terms of how we created environments.
So I don't want to be too much of a downer here, but this is one of Lance Reddick's final roles. He's portraying Hellboy. Incredibly talented guy. How would you say his portrayal compares to David Harbour or Ron Perlman's version, or the version in your head?
None of them match the version in my head, because the version in my head is so abstract. It's just my voice. So I was a huge fan of Lance's work. When they told me that Lance was going to do it, I was very excited. It was not something I would have thought of, but it worked like crazy. He was a different Hellboy, but he was Hellboy. I've never been able to say, oh, this guy should be Hellboy or that guy should be Hellboy. So it's always exciting to me to see people bring their own version of Hellboy, because I can't tell you what Hellboy's supposed to sound like. He's a fictional character. He lives inside my head. It's very odd when he gets out there and he's made of other people.
Well, I love it. I feel like he has a deep voice. You know, I don't really see him as being much of a falsetto, but you know.
And Lance is just such a wonderful character actor. I mean, I always think of him as like the character in John Wick or something like that, and there's an elegance to him which I would never associate with Hellboy. So it was, fortunately, I got to watch him, record, and it was just great to see the range that Lance has, and how enthusiastic he was about getting it right.
Well, thank you so much. I'm very much looking forward to Hellboy, the Web of Word. Word. Anyway, we've got lots more Gamescom Studio coming up. See you around.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection of the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
Welcome to Super Debatable. When you got big takes on superheroes as hot as ours, well, you need a place to vent them.
And that's exactly what we'll be doing week after week on Super Debatable, arguing over the most divisive topics facing fans.
The MCU, that multiversal mess peaked years ago. It's all downhill from here.
James Gunn and Peter Safran should absolutely nuke the Snyderverse. We could argue about this all day.
And we will. Join us on Super Debatable Fridays on IGN. Want the ultimate IGN experience? Check out IGN Plus. Members get exclusive deals and giveaways, ad-free browsing, unlimited tracking on IGN Maps, discounts at the IGN store and with IGN partners. And best of all, free games. Get 30 days of IGN Plus for just $1. Head to plus.ign.com.
Hello again, you're watching Gamescom Studio right here on IGN.
Coming up next, we're checking out Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2, and a little later on Assassin's Creed Codename Jade, and make sure you stick around for Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl.
And while we have you, there's so much going on in Gamescom, it can be hard to keep track, but Gamescom now has you covered. Explore and discover what the world's gaming industry has in store for you, and go cast your vote for this year's Gamescom Award.
That's right. It's also where you can take part in Gamescom Epics, the text adventure game of the show. Join the fun for your chance to win very cool prizes.
Head to now.gamescom.global for more, and make sure you don't miss this Gamescom Award show this Friday, or on Sunday, the Gamescom Cosplay Contest powered by Mini. And don't forget, IGN will be here covering the show each day live on YouTube and Twitch.
It's a lot. The biggest video game event on the planet also cares about the planet. This year, Gamescom Goes Green initiative has made some huge leaps forward. Not only is this year's core event 100% climate neutral, it's also running on 100% renewable energy.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The Gamescom force continues to grow thanks to donations from attendees, and in addition to participating in Gamescom carbon offset program, exhibitors are doing their part by building more sustainably, reusing portions of their booths, and avoiding single-use material.
Very important. And best of all, Gamescom has teamed up with the UN's Playing for the Planet initiative to present the Green Studio of the Year award during opening night live, helping encourage sustainability across the games industry. Find out more at playingfortheplanet.org.
But right now we're checking out Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2. Take a look.
Here they come!
We are preparing an airstrike. Can you hold the enemy in place until it hits?
Consider it done. Here they come! Reloading weapons! Focus on taking down the height. Do not relent in your attacks. We are wasting time. Proceed through the gates. Need to Never seen orcs do that. Done. Go for the next one.
Have free reign unless we get those petals open.
Welcome back to Gamescom Studio, powered by IGN. Are you sick of your corporate job? Are you burnt out and needing a serious change of environment? Well, look no further, because joining me today are Regina Reisinger and Philip Seyfried from Microbird. Welcome!
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
I'm so excited to talk about this game. So, we talk about how this character is a burnt out lawyer, right? How did you come upon creating this backstory for this character?
When we started thinking about Hinterberg and the story, we wanted something a little bit realistic and sort of this mixture of magic and realism, and someone needing to take a break and to take a vacation and to sort of introduce the player to this theme of Hinterberg as a place where you can take a holiday. And we thought a lot about the character, and ended up thinking about how we can distill our own experiences of really needing a holiday into like a protagonist. And we sort of came from a background of having worked too much as well, so it's kind of a natural thing.
Yeah, we thought everyone can relate a bit to this feeling of needing a holiday, and if it's a magical one, it's even better maybe.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were describing her and I was like, oh, that's just me. No, absolutely. I feel very connected to her. So there's obviously a very big contrast between the calm and idyllic Alpine setting and magic-infused combat, because you're going to the Alps to fight monsters and go dungeon hunting. So what's the balance between action and adventuring and exploring in this game?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's generally, like we describe it, as an action RPG with social simulation elements. And that's kind of where this contrast also comes in. Like, you're in this little village in Hinterberg in the Austrian Alps. It's a normal town, but there's also magic and magical dungeons around it. So every day in Hinterberg in the morning, you pick one of several overworlds. You can explore, you find, and probably complete the dungeon. That's, of course, where all the monster slaying, the puzzling, the finding loot, and all the good stuff takes place. And then in the evening, you go back to the village of Hinterberg, and that's where you can hang out with colorful adventurers or locals, and if you invest kind of time in your relationships, you will get certain boons from that, certain perks, and that's kind of your skill tree. So people will maybe give you a valuable piece of info or gift you something or unlock a game system for you, and yeah, that's kind of how we combine also this mundane and fantastic dungeon part.
So with creating those relationships, are there also romance elements to this game, or is it just friendship?
It's just friendship.
Okay. I had to ask. So you mentioned how certain characters can give your character some boons and perks. So how does combat work, and how does it evolve over time as you play more?
When we think about combat in Hinterberg is very accessible. It's arcadey, it's spectacular. We're not looking for a Dark Souls-like experience, and there's various magic skills that you can use. There are slottable special attacks that you can use, and then there are also some systems that you can only access if you hang out with a particular character. So befriending a particular type of adventurer might actually give you a little combo counter that adds perks as you keep whacking away at enemies. That's sort of how we think about combat. It's quite light. It's lighthearted. It's spectacular, and it sort of interfaces with this social simulation part.
Okay, I love that.
We kind of want to. Like, you can pick who to socialize with, and you can by then, through that, kind of pick how you want to play. For example, if you're really into using those special attacks in combat, you can hang out with a character who will give you an additional one. So you can kind of deepen the combat, or maybe deepen some other areas in the game.
Oh, cool. Okay. So with talking about combat, how does magic work in this game? What are the different spells and powers that you can learn, and how does that help your character through combat?
Yeah.
The magic skills are tied to the different overworlds that we have. So in one overworld where you have these mine-themed dungeons, the skills are a little bit more physical. You get this big wrecking ball thing with which you can blow stuff up, or you can use it as a weight, as you saw in the video here, and a ball and chain that you can use to shoot things from afar, but also to pull gooey things close to you. And then when you're in the glacier, for instance, we have 4 of these overworlds, each come with their own magic skills. In the glacier, it's a magical hoverboard that feels a little bit like snowboarding. In the forest, it's more wind-themed skills, like a whirlwind that you can use to pick yourself up. And we use these skills both in combat and for puzzling.
Ooh, okay. So those are locked to those specific regions.
Yes.
Okay, okay, yeah. So can you give us more examples? We see some platforming and puzzle solving here. Can you give us more examples of what exactly puzzle solving will look like in this game?
Yeah, it's like this part of gameplay, I would say, is a bit inspired by also games like Zelda, for example, and we have a lot of puzzles. You will have to use logic. You will also have to use your skills cleverly. Like, it's kind of a mix of some of them are really more logical thinking, and then depending on the biome, you will get to know your skills slowly and then have to think with how you can use them in the puzzles. So yeah, it's kind of a mix, I would say, of just logical thinking and environmental aspects.
Okay, yeah, so I just want to say thank you for making this game, because I have said so many times, I wish I could just quit my job and go hunt monsters for a living, right? So I have to ask you one last question. What would make you the ultimate monster slayer?
There is actually kind of a challenge in the game. Like, we have 25 dungeons in there, and you can try to go basically for a record and try to be an adventurer who manages in 25 days to do 25 dungeons. Or you can also explore it in a much more chill way and say, hey, I'm on vacation, I'm going to hang out more with people and meditate on a mountain and only do a dungeon tomorrow. So yeah, I guess you could chase this goal of being the ultimate monster slayer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try the 25 dungeons in one day, but then get discouraged because I'm not going to be able to do it. And then I'll just play the game as intended. So, well,
all up to you.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We'll see how hard it is. But I want to become the ultimate monster slayer. So.
Nice.
Awesome. That's a good goal.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us. This game looks gorgeous, and I'm so excited to see how it plays.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
You can play as Louisa fighting monsters on her vacation when Dungeons of Hinterberg comes to Xbox and PC next year. For more from Gamescom Studio, stay right here on IGN.
Behind every game, movie and TV show you love is a wild, crazy and sometimes unbelievable story.
No one is just black and white.
From revealing the secrets behind your favourite franchises to solving a legendary video game mystery,
I'm coming for you.
IGN Inside Stories gives you a peek behind the curtain.
If people come to the game now and see what's going on there, I think they'll be surprised.
Join us as we dive into hyper-dedicated fan bases, worldwide phenomenons, and the most incredible untold tales in games and entertainment.
I said, wait a minute, that doesn't sound so good.
It was definitely not what I expected in the best way.
Inside Stories, available now only on IGN.
And I was like, holy shit, we're gonna do this.
IGN Playlist is the best way to track your game collection. Now you can even import your entire Steam library to Playlist, making it easier than ever to review games, show off your collection of the world, and finally chip away at that massive backlog you keep meaning to get to. IGN Playlist, check it out.
V-Gates, Gamescom, Seth Macy here from IGN. I am joined by Andre Chan, executive producer at Level Infinite. Andre, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. We are here to talk about Assassin's Creed Jade, the real name of Assassin's Creed Jade. Andre, hit us.
Well, Assassin's Creed Jade is official name right now. So we dropped the code name, and now it's Assassin's Creed Jade officially.
Assassin's Creed, been around forever. It's been all around the world. Very memorable settings. In Jade, who are we going to be playing as? What areas are we going to be exploring?
So in Jade, you're creating and customizing your character from the scratch for the first time in the series. But you will still be playing as a wandering hero and in ancient China setting. We're not yet assassins, because assassins didn't exist at that timeline, but we're proto-assassins. So it's 230 BC, before Christ, and this is a time where Qin Dynasty established the first empire in China. This is the time when they started building the Great Wall, then the Terracotta Army, very, very famous over the world. And also, this is the time when the Proto-Silk Way established.
Oh, okay.
So this is a fascinating time to showcase, because there's a lot of Chinese culture to showcase in the game, and also very famous points of interest and landmarks.
Every Assassin's Creed the attacks are really influenced on the time period, the setting. How has the ancient Chinese setting really affected this?
Yeah, we'll be featuring very traditional Chinese weapons. For example, everyone has swords, every culture, but Chinese swords are a little bit different. So, and they have very unique style and design, and also a very unique technique they use to fight with these swords. Also, spear will be a big part of the game too. A lot of very specific, not only weapons, but also the combat techniques.
How has being on mobile affected the scale of the games? Because, Assassin's Creed games pretty famous for their scale.
Being on mobile probably made this game huge.
Really?
So it will be huge, and it will be expanded with each update, and in each closed beta we have in future, we will also introduce big chunks of these regions. And there is also a lot of systems in the game, like progression systems, a lot of content, points of interest. This game will be huge.
Okay. I got to play for 20 minutes. I wasn't exactly sure how it was going to work on a mobile phone. So since not everyone else has played, could you sort of explain how the controls work? Because they really get the job done well. Like, it feels everything you would expect in an Assassin's Creed game is there.
So controls is like easily top 2 or top 3 most difficult things we had to do.
Oh, wow, okay.
Making this game, yeah. Because there is a certain experience Assassin's Creed fans expect from Assassin's Creed game, and we cannot really skip that. We cannot skip assassinations, parkour, finishing moves, all that stuff. And we had to adopt all these features while having a touchscreen controls.
Since this is on mobile, has the mission design changed?
I think the missions and the storyline, we really wanted to be very close to what Assassin's Creed fans expect from Assassin's Creed titles. What really changes is, because it's a live game, that we will introduce more engagement features, like something you can do outside of the main quest and outside of the main story, and more like session-based game modes, for example. One of the examples which is available and was available in CBT was the game mode Defend the Wall, Hold the Wall.
Okay.
Where you and your friends in a co-op mode, you need to defend the wall from the nomads from Xianggu, and light the beacons to make sure the wall is protected. So this is like a small session where you just gather your friends, play it really fast, and get out.
Very cool. Where does this fit into the wider Assassin's Creed universe?
This is a proper Assassin's Creed storyline, which is part of the overall Assassin's Creed world and canon. So we're working together to make sure that we're still inside the lore. And also we're having some of the characters from the other franchises, so we need to be extremely careful.
Oh, okay.
Extremely careful in implementing our story.
Yeah. All right, cool. And will this be free to play and supported with like in-game purchases, or how is this going to be presented to people?
It is free to play. It will support in-app purchases, though this system is like in very, very early design. We really want to nail the other features like iconic Assassin's Creed features, storyline, controls. This is our major focus right now. What I can tell is we have a design principle that storyline, content, all the future updates to the storyline and content should be playable for free without investing any money.
Gameplay first, and then we'll figure out how to pay for it.
Pretty much, yes.
Very cool.
We just wrapped our CBT 1. We got a lot of feedback, and we are working on addressing this feedback, and we're targeting to have our CBT 2 very soon. So register and join us to play the game.
And where can people register?
At Assassin'sCreedJade.com.
That's the official name now. So
official name.
Right on. Well, Andre, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
All right, that was Assassin's Creed Jade. I'm Seth Macy. This is IGN. We're at Gamescom all week. There's tons of stuff to see, so keep it right here at IGN.
Now, a lot of indie games make you think outside the box, but this next one is more about thinking outside the books. Here to tell us about the puzzle adventure, The Plucky Squire, please welcome James Turner. Welcome to the IGN studio here.
Thank you.
So, Plucky Squire, this is a game about storybook characters that partially takes place in storybooks, but they can also leave the storybooks and adventure in the real world. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, yes.
Yeah, sort of tell us what the whole idea of the game is.
So the idea is that you play as the hero of a storybook, and the book is all about them, but there's a villain who is kind of resentful of the fact that the hero gets all the limelight, and they want to kick the hero out of the book, grab the limelight for themselves, and become the new hero of the book. And you play as Jot, who is the hero and has to stop this villain from his diabolical plans.
What do we need to know about this villain? Why is the villain so jealous of Jot?
Well, this is a land of creativity, the land that the book features, and Humgrump has never been a very creative kind of guy, and there's Jot running around this land, being a hero, and he's also a writer to rub salt into the wound. He's like a published author, and everyone loves his books, and Humgrump is just very resentful of all the attention that he gets, and all the fans that he has, and he thinks he wants a bit of that for himself, and this is his chance. He discovers a new kind of magic that allows him to push Jot out of the book, and this is his chance to grab that limelight.
Is this Jot that we're seeing right here?
Yeah, that's right. the guy with the feather in his cap. That's Jot. Yep.
So it takes place inside the books. When you leave the books, how does the gameplay change?
Well, in the book, it's kind of a 2D top-down adventure. Right. And when you get out of the book, you can run around on the desk. It becomes all about the third dimension. And so the gameplay, it kind of shares similarities. You're running around, you're fighting monsters, but the extra dimension gives you new gameplay opportunities, and there are illustrations on the desk that you can jump into because you can pass between the 2D and 3D worlds. And so you can explore this desk, you can explore these bits of media on the desk and pop into them, play this little game here, pop out, go to a different place. So there's lots of surprises and interesting things for you to discover and explore.
And are we controlling Jot, or do we control his friends also?
Well, mostly you control Jot.
Okay.
But there are certain very specific points in the game where the control switches over, and you do get to play as his two friends.
Do they have different abilities?
Depending on the minigame.
Okay.
Their abilities are very much tailored to the minigame. So I think in the trailer we showed the first trailer, we showed a minigame where Jot is boxing of an enemy, and Thrash, who's the mountain troll with the blue skin, he is a drummer, so he gets to showcase his drumming abilities in the minigame. And then Violet, she's a witch, a trainee witch, so she gets to showcase her magic casting abilities in her minigame.
So fitting for a storybook, I believe the game is broken up into chapters. Does that sort of act as the level progression?
Yes, that's right, yeah. So it seemed like a good way to divide everything up. And we have chapters that are more based around the story, and they're a little bit shorter. And then we have chapters that are more gameplay focused, and they kind of expand out and take up quite a bit of a good chunk of playtime. So a lot of the time you'll be adventuring through the book, and then you'll get to a point in the chapter that you can't progress, and then your mentor, Moonbeard, who's a wizard, tells you you need to get out of the book to find a specific item that can help you. And that's when you jump out and you have an adventure around the desk, find the item, and return to the book. So that's kind of the template for how chapters go. But we do like to change it up and pull the rug from under the player from time to time, keep things fresh.
Sure. Yeah, we just saw a little bit of that, leaving the book and then coming back into it.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little of the 3D into 2D and then back into 3D mechanic of Super Mario Odyssey,
right.
Or even A Link Between Worlds.
Right.
Were those sort of inspirations for you? I know you've worked on Nintendo properties before.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like, I wouldn't say that the game idea came from that. It was more like we wanted to create a game that took place in a book. That was the initial idea, starting point. And then what if you could get out of the book? So then naturally, you're thinking of 2D and 3D and how you mix that up. And then as like points of reference, we would look at Odyssey or Zelda and see how they might accomplish something. And so they were kind of things to be aware of and think about how they maximized like that idea. Yeah, so the good reference points to look at. Yeah.
The storybooks also, they obviously have text in them. It seems like there's some wordplay puzzles, or maybe you have to change the words in a storybook in order to pass an obstacle. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, we wanted to, I think whenever you make a game, it's good to lean into whatever makes that game unique. So this takes place in a book, and the idea was, how could we create a game loop that most leans into that idea? And so the first thing that came to mind was, well, books, they're dictated by the narration on the page. And what if you could mess with that? What if you could change that around and change the reality of what's actually happening in the page? That seemed like a unique thing to try and aim for. And once we kind of grasped onto that as an idea, it's like, okay, this is kind of a backbone of the game. And yeah, something that we really have been enjoying exploring in the game's design.
Which is, I think, what we just saw here. They just changed the word night to daytime. Yes. They changed the scene to daytime, and the monsters went to sleep.
Yes.
So you can
progress. Exactly. And at first we had more conservative ways of doing that, less large scale. Like maybe you'd make a bridge extend or make a door open, but we realized it's more fun. the biggest swing that you go for, like turning night to day, or a moat that is empty of water, and then effects you have on the world, it feels more something that not just a Switch can do. It's something like you feel like you're changing the reality.
Okay, so the Plucky Squire was also recently part of the Devolver Delayed showcase, meaning, of course, it's been delayed to 2024. Was that a tough decision?
It was, of course, like once you've stated the game is coming out in 2023, you're kind of always reluctant to make any changes to that. Sure. Like you have people who are expecting, like the players are expecting, and then your publisher is expecting. So it's never a particularly fun thing to think that you might want to go beyond that. But it's always like, how do we make this game the best possible game it can be? And like we feel like there are so many different types of gameplay in this game. There are so many different mini games, and there's the 2D exploration and the 3D exploration, and we want each element to be intuitive and polished and feel good, and that just takes time to polish. Sure. And once we realized, well, this is going to take a bit more time to craft it to be exactly what we want it to be, then it's a hard decision, but it's like, well, this is the right thing to do. And once we've decided it's the right thing to do, it's just a matter of talking to people and figuring out like how much time we need to be able to do that.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but there are quite a few games coming out in 2023, so maybe it's not so bad.
Right, yes.
Look forward to this in 2024. I'm going to go ahead and put the Plucky Squire on my short list of games I'm looking forward to play next year. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN studio.
Great, it was great. Lovely to talk to you.
Okay, the Plucky Squire hits PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch, and PC sometime next year. Keep watching IGN Studio here at Gamescom for more.
This here tale begins with a lone dragon, the butt of everybody's jokes. He needed something that'd make him special, cooler, better, classier. And when he found it, he went all in. But he wanted more. 'Cause Vassie's ambition knew no limits. So he kept hunting. After all, had the Endless lifted the Draken so they could be average? Hell no. And he was gonna show him. A true dragon only stops at perfection. Vassie's shift is just getting started. Something special from a friend. Never a good idea to tick off the bartender.
Hey, you! Yes, you! Do you have FOMC? Fear of missing Gamescom? Relax. Gamescom is everywhere you want. Gamescom now. Register now.
Tune into IGN 1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN 1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN 1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
One of the biggest surprises during Gamescom Studio Opening Night Live was the announcement of the next entry in the Little Nightmares series. Here to tell me about Little Nightmares 3 producer Coralie Faniello. Welcome! Thank you for joining us.
Hi, thanks you for having us.
Now, first things first, we've got new protagonists. Can you tell us a little bit about these characters and who they are, what they can do, and what sets them apart from Six and Mono?
Yeah, so in Little Nightmares 3 we will have two new characters, which are Lo and Alone. So Lo is the one with the cape and the mask. He is here since a long time now, but he has never lost hope, and he's looking for a place that will bring him home. And Alone, she is the girl with the goggles and the helmet. So she is Lo's best friend, and she's also a tinkerer, and she's very curious, trying to find new secrets about the places that they will visit.
And you've added a very, very much requested feature, which is co-op. Can you tell us a little bit about how that works?
Yeah, indeed. So co-op was one of the mostly asked features from our community. So we're really happy that we can implement it in Little Nightmares 3. So in the game, you'll be able to play in online co-op with a friend. We also have a friend's pass, meaning that you only need one copy to play with a friend.
That's awesome. And does it has split screen, or is it just online?
No, it will be online. We wanted to implement it that way because we think that split screen doesn't fit with the universe of Little Nightmares. We really want to keep that immersion, like that very atmospheric feeling that you will have.
Now, it looks like the characters can collect items. Can you tell about how that sort of fits in with the puzzles and how it goes with the theme of the game, and I guess any other new mechanics that they have?
Yeah, so that will happen sometimes in the game. You will be able to collect an item, use it for solving some puzzles, and then you will have to let it go. But the players will also have two new items. Each have their own. So Lo has the bow and arrow, and Alone has the wrench. And we are using them in order to create more puzzles and to promote like cooperations between the player and if you are playing in single player, between the player and the AI.
In terms of tone, can you set the stage a little bit and tell us about the setting of Little Nightmares 3?
Yeah, so in terms of tone, like each chapter will be very different. Each chapter has its own atmosphere, its own story, on enemies, and so you will be able to go through each of them, but they are all part of the same place in the Nowhere. So the Nowhere is the place where Little Nightmares games take place. So all of the locations of Little Nightmares 3 are in the spiral, which you will be able to discover.
Now we got to look at some gameplay from the city of the dead. It's kind of like a desert setting.
Yeah, the place that you can see in the gameplay is the necropolis. So in that place, it was before the place where the dweller were living. But then the monster baby arrived, and well, she made the city what it is now. So you can see that there are some statues around. You can see that it is now very quiet, except from the beetles that will attack you.
Now, the first two games are very, like, there's a lot of gloom and shadows, and it's very, kind of what people think of when they think more conventional nightmares, but from what we've seen on the Necropolis, it's very bright, like it's daytime in the desert. Can you tell us a little bit about the sort of the reasoning for this shift, and also some of the challenges with making matching that sort of expected kind of vibe of the game while it's still in broad daylight?
Yeah, so in the Necropolis, it was a challenge to have like a desert and like some light, much more light than what we have seen before. But at the same time, to keep what is the atmosphere and the DNA of the Nathan Atmos games. So what we have done is that we have used a lot the environmental storytelling. So you can see bags all around, you can see stuff going on, and then that plus the music and the general atmosphere is what creates the unease feeling that you will have in that place. But the other chapters of the game will be very different, and you will be able to see some different places and some different locations that will show more.
Nice. Now, at this point, we kind of have a clear idea of what a Little Nightmares game is. I guess I'm curious what the sort of internal philosophy is. Like, what are the pillars of a Little Nightmares game? Like, what are the sort of, are there any rules that you can't break in terms of making this game? Like, you can't just turn it into like a full-on, like run and gun platformer or something. I guess how do you change the gameplay while still keeping it, true to the core idea?
Yeah, so Little Nightmares games have like main pillars, which are the darkness, the dystopian aspect of the society in general, and the hope, because there is always a light of hope. So we really want to keep these three main elements across the different games, and that's what we are doing in Little Nightmares.
Nice. Now, some exciting news here is that Supermassive Games is working on this, and that's a studio that has an incredible track record making, I guess what I call much larger nightmares, big cinematic, realistic horror games. Can you talk a little bit about how the team's prior experience has affected Little Nightmares 3?
Yeah, so it's great working with Supermassive Games. They have an extensive knowledge of horror in general, but they also understand very well and very deeply the franchise. Like, they are all really passionate about it, and they worked hard in order to get into it and to like use their knowledge from previous games. And so that goes from the horror, but also the fact that they implemented like multiplayer in the previous games in order to like bring them into the franchise with their own eyes.
Cool. Now, fans have done a lot of sort of digging and picking apart of Little Nightmares, and I like that there's just a lot of mystery to it. Can you just kind of blow some of that mystery away and tell us where Little Nightmares 3 takes place on the timeline, sort of chronologically?
Not really. Like, it's something we really want the player to figure out by themselves, like where we are in the timeline, and so we want them to dig into that.
Now, there have been, in addition to the 2, soon to be 3 console games and the mobile game, there have been some comics, and now there's going to be a new sort of transmedia experience, which is going to add to the universe. It's just audio only, is that right?
Yeah, it is a podcast. Yeah.
Tell me how that works, because I feel like this is an extremely non-verbal series. Like, it's all about environmental storytelling and visuals. I guess how do you match that tone, and what does the podcast sound like?
Yeah, sure. So the podcast will take place in the counties. So Little Nightmares lore is quite extensive, in fact. So you have just seen the surface of it. So the podcast is in the counties, which is the real world, but the nowhere is the place that the video games are showing right now. The nowhere is like the nightmares. So in the podcast, you're in the counties and you listen to Noon, which is a little girl who has night terrors. So she goes to a psychiatric hospital and she talks to Otto, a counselor, and she tells her nightmares, basically. And so Otto will try to dig into that and to understand what is going on and what is the nowhere and the secrets of it.
Wow, it sounds really creepy to listen to a child talk about nightmares on a podcast, but I'm sure fans will be super into that. Carly, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, can you tell us when players can get their hands on Little Nightmares 3?
Yeah, so the game will release in 2024. It will be on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC.
Wonderful. And what about the podcast? When is that premiering?
So the 2 first episodes are available right now in the gamescom.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm looking forward to Little Nightmares 3.
Yeah, thank you.
1,000 bullets. And 1 mullet.
Badass moderator to take care of our butts! Especially our prices! Destroy these damn robots!
Old school anime action. Mullet Mad Jack. Wish list now.
Stalker fans have long awaited a new entry into the Stalker franchise, but their patience is finally paying off. Here to tell us about Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl is Yevgeny from GSC Game World. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Yes.
I put a call out on Twitter asking what people want to know about Stalker 2, and you know, right now the team is obviously dealing with the war in Ukraine. It's had a huge impact on development, not just for the game, but on the people working on it. So everybody wanted to know, how is the team, and then how are they feeling now that the game is out here for the public to play?
Well, it's a good question. So the team feels very different. Mostly all of our team are Ukrainians who, some of the team members left the country before the war starts, because we realized that it may happen and we want to keep everyone safe. And our main motivation was to save everyone, so we were thinking we're gonna move everyone to the safe place and then we will decide what to do next. And we propose everyone to get their bags and travel. We have a plan. We prepared a plan long before this. We had a lot of buses standing with drivers 24 hours, 7 days per week, who were standing near the office. So in case that would happen at some point, everyone knows where to go to see it and to move. But that was the time when we realized that it's going to happen just before it happens, and we had a chance to move a little bit earlier. And so for me, I was already out of the country, and for me it was very different from how it felt with the guys who left there. And it's frightening. It's very frightening. But at some point, when you are in this, when you're at war, so you're in country, the bomb can come and blow everything. At some point, you become used to it, and it become normal. So it's strange to say, but for many of us, the normal is when bombs fly. It's okay. Someone died. It's not okay, and it's totally different. And doing the game it helps a lot, because we can focus on bringing something to this world, to bring some art, experience, a story, and that's what drives us and make us feel better and happy at some points. And it's helped everyone in our team to become stable and move forward. Some part of our team goes to the army to defend. That was their decision, so they just goes there day one. They don't have any fighting experience, but they want to stand there and to protect us. And we honor them, we love them for that, and it's super cool. But it's totally, it's but still we are making games, and it's something that we're gonna do for, I guess, all the life, because it's the best job ever. I can't find any job better than that. But situation is very
complicated.
It's very simple from point of view that there is a bad guys, there is a good guys, and there is no way to feel it in some different way. And so for us it's very simple, but it's very frightening and not okay about that. It feels like okay already.
Well, I can't even imagine what the team is going through, what you're going through, but it does make me feel a little better to hear that you find solace in or comfort in developing the game and working on the game as a team. So everybody just wanted to know how you're doing, so I really appreciate the candid answer very much. Talking about the game, it's been 10 years, so what would you want to tell the audience about Stalker 2 and how to set their expectations for what they're going to be experiencing in this?
Yeah, this is a very good question, because what we can see now from the players, the expectations of what do they expect from the game, what kind of the game they think the Stalker 2 is very important, because they face the real game, what we did, and not what player imagined, and it become frustrating if you're not on the right, expecting not the right game what we are doing. But so it's happened to everyone I see when players start playing without expectations like a players, so they just start and forget about what they think the Stalker 2 is and start to play what they see. They become good. They start they start investigating, discovering what's there, what the mechanics, how it plays. This game is totally different from other games, and I know that everyone can say this about their game, but for us it's very hard to find something close as experience, because it's very different genres, and there is a big open world games with huge maps and different settings, but there is no so big games in Chernobyl, a realistic modern setting with a lot of science fiction, a very deep and non-linear story, so it's very heavy on plot and non-linearly.
Can we dive into that a little bit?
Yeah.
I am curious, did you end up gameplay mechanic-wise leaning more into a military sim style gameplay?
We don't plan to do it military style, so we don't think that Stalker is about military. It's about a regular human whose life somehow leads that this person want to go to the zone and find something there from himself, and it's very different from everyone who goes to the zone. I mean, the stalkers who are there and the players who play as a stalker, and we wanted to give the experience and feeling how you could feel in real life, because the Chernobyl zone and Stalker map is very close to what you can find actually in real place. So
did you go to the real place actually?
Yeah, we've been there a lot, and it's very important to do this game. And this one of the most beautiful places in the world. I don't think there is somewhere else the place like this, where it is a town that's become abandoned in like one day, when all one who lived there, they just have to be evacuated without taking any clothes, anything, and it looks totally frozen moment, and it's super. It's not frightening. It's amazing, and it's impossible to to make it somewhere else, because it would cost just a lot of money just to evacuate whole the city. And the nature takes its part there. So the trees start to grow through the asphalt. There are trees growing on top of the buildings, like you see the five level building, so it's high and there is a tree, and it looks so futuristic and fantastic and amazing. And getting this experience helps a lot to do this game, to understand what we want to show. We want to give a portion of this experience too, and because of this real place, and it's just like 120 kilometers from the Kyiv, so it's very close. And we want to both give this experience and give a heavy story, and also bring very realistic, not realistic, but the game should looks like it's realistic. So there are a lot of details to the weapons, to the attached upgrades, and it's, yeah.
Can I dive into that for a second? I'm curious, one of the locations you've shown in a lot of the trailers is the array. For example, the radar array. Mm-hmm. I think it's called the Dungar array. I don't know the specifically.
You mean the trailer, right?
Just in Stalker 2 footage that we've seen.
Yeah. So it's an Duga. It's an actual construction. What was built by military? It was secret. Why it's there, but the most realistic explanation is that it's a big radar that can find if someone will launch the nuclear missile, ballistic missile on other part of the planet. The signals will go and bounce through the atmosphere, and this big radar could get this information and inform about this.
What is it in your universe, though? Because it's all electrified, and it seems like there's anomalies there. I'm curious to learn more.
It's just a location. It's not a key part. Like, it's not a character of the game. It's just a. It's more like a decoration, big decoration. There is a story around it, but it's not. It's not taken as something very key. There is. I don't want to make a spoilers, but yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, Yevgeny, I would love to have more time with you, but we are out of time for this interview. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm very happy that you're here.
Thank you. Thank you for your questions.
Also, yeah, thank you. And thank you for watching. For more on all things Stalker 2 Heart of Chernobyl, keep it right here at IGN. And for more on all things Gamescom, also keep it right here on IGN.
Be there. Be strong. Be fierce. Be better. Be different. Be winning. Be epic. Be you at Gamescom 23. Come and be everything at Gamescom 2023.
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
6 years ago, while talking about Sonic on Game Scoop, Brian, you had this to say.
Real point where we need to admit that this was never really a great franchise.
Nope. Wow. It was never really a good franchise, huh, Brian? Well, I'm sorry. We're well over, believe it or not, 100 Sonic games, 2 movies, a long-running comic book series, and 6 shows. When you besmirch Sonic, you besmirch everyone associated with Sonic, okay, Brian? Brian, I want to present you with this.
I will hold that L.
I was wrong. I have since come around on that character. I have watched the movies with my kid and enjoyed them immensely. Sonic Frontiers is fun. I liked Sonic Colors. I liked Sonic Generations. I liked Sonic Mania. Something we can all agree on is that Sonic has been good. It's Crash Bandicoot that's never been good.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
If you enjoyed that, check out full episodes of Beyond, IGN's PlayStation shows. We talk, argue, and goof on everything PlayStation. New episodes drop every Tuesday on IGN.com and IGN Games on YouTube.
What's up, everyone? Stella Chung here, and we are outside of the Hoyoverse booth at Gamescom, and I just got to play Zenless Zone Zero, and it is fun. It is going to be really dangerous because I actually really like this game, and there's so many different elements to it that will definitely keep you playing for a while. So first of all, let's go into the combat because I am definitely more into action games, and this is that. It's definitely a hack and slash. And I loved that they brought in this sort of approachable way that new players could come in and just kind of slash their way around and kind of figure things out, right? Stumble around, spam the same button over and over, but it's really easy to learn combinations, and it's actually pretty challenging for returning players as well, so they really wanted to make sure that it catered to two different audiences, and I think they did a great job of that. I have never played a Hoyoverse game before, so for me playing that, I was a little bit confused, but everything was really easy to learn. The tutorial was great. It's my first hands-on for this game as well, and it was from their closed beta before, so it's not the current build, but it is the build before. So I did get to play some of that. Some of the characters are really cool. There was a cat girl with two tails. I know, weird, but she was really powerful. She was much faster than the polar bear that I got to play as well. So that was really interesting. And there's a whole other mechanic and whole other playstyle too. So Zenless Zone Zero's story focuses on this world plagued by these natural disasters called hollows, and they create these different dimensions. So your proxy kind of goes in to fight these monsters called ethereals. So they're plagued by different ethers, and it's people who get turned and stuff. It's really interesting. So what I really liked about the combat as well is that you kind of get graded at the end of each level. So I got S tier, of course, but it was also tutorial level, so I shouldn't brag too much. But it's really cool because you get to see immediate feedback on how much damage you're doing, and then at the end of the level or a boss fight, you get to see your tier, and it's really cool. It kind of makes you want to replay it and get a better score. So also with this, not only with combat, there's also this sort of life sim area where you can go around. It's called the city. You can walk around, you can talk to vendors, you can talk to people, and it's really cool because you get to interact with this world. You go into a little city in Tokyo, and it's really cool. You get to hear people talking to each other. You get to see these cute little bunny characters that are offering you shop items, and there's also a really cool ramen guy who says, I make the best ramen around town. So it's really cool. Also, you have to manage a shop where you sell VHS tapes, and you have to cater to different people who come in and want to buy different movies. So it's really cool, and that's how you get in-game currency as well. So not only is there an extremely cool fighting sequence that you can constantly go into and play, but there's also that sort of shopkeeping mechanic, which is definitely the reason why I'm going to be playing for a long time. So unfortunately, I didn't get to experience the gacha mechanics in here, but I'm assuming it's going to be very similar to Genshin or Honkai Star Rail, where you pull different characters and weapons. So unfortunately, I didn't get to see that, but there was a super funny line when I was running around in the city, and there was actually a gacha machine there, and the main character said, oh, my brother makes fun of me for liking gacha games, and I'm like, it's a little on the nose there. So Zenless Zone Zero has a really cool art style. Well, it's kind of cel-shaded, but it also definitely looks like Genshin, but kind of set in an urban space. Not quite modern times because it doesn't really have a timeline associated with it, but it's really cool because it does feel like you're in this whole new world. It feels like you're walking through an anime, and I really like that because it feels like a slice of life anime when you're walking around through the city. And then it also makes you feel like you're in a badass monster slaying anime when you're fighting these ether creatures, and it's really cool. I really liked it. So the art style is definitely really cool. The shadow work is actually very good, and the different sorts of animation styles when you have different fighting combos, it's really cool. So I don't know, I found myself getting really surprised by this because I don't usually like games like this, but I will totally play the hell out of this. I mentioned previously that I played as a cat girl with two tails, and she's definitely super fast. I loved her build. She was really easy to evade monster attacks with, but I did also make a whole team of animal characters, I guess. So I had the cat girl. I also had a bear that definitely did the heaviest attacks, right? Like he's kind of like a tank. So his attacks were much slower. He was slower to evade. So it's really cool to be able to interact with these two different characters that had very opposite features. Then I actually played as a wolf as well. There's a wolf character, and he was kind of in between. He was a medium melee character, which is really cool. And then for the main characters, you have a sniper, you have someone who's very good at using his 2 handguns, and then you have another person who's really good at melee. So it was really cool to have someone sort of back up and be able to do damage from afar, and then finish up by switching characters to the girl who's very good at like slashing up close. And I really liked that for boss fights. I think that was very helpful because sometimes I could not get some of those dodge timings down right, so just being able to be a little bit further away and shooting was the way to go. Unfortunately, I don't have a release date for you for Zenless Zone Zero, but you can play it if you're here at Gamescom, so you can come to the Hoyoverse booth and fight me for a place in line because I'm gonna go play it again. But in the meantime, be sure to keep it right here at IGN for all of your news and updates on everything Hoyoverse. Well, that just about wraps us up for day 1 of Gamescom Studio powered by IGN, but we're only just getting started here. We'll be live all week and through the weekend. We've got tons of interviews, exclusive gameplay, the Gamescom cosplay contest powered by Mini, and even the Gamescom award show, celebrating the biggest, best, and the most innovative games here at IGN. Or Gamescom, sorry.
Yeah, everywhere. And tomorrow on Gamescom Studio, we're taking a look at a bunch of awesome games and chatting with the people making them. A few highlights include Mortal Kombat 1, Cyberpunk 2077's Phantom Liberty expansion, The Lord of the Rings Return to Moria, Wayfinder, and Lies of P. That's a lot. I think we'll be okay, right?
Oh, and in the meantime, head to IGN.com/rewards, where you can win tons of awesome prizes, like a limited edition Xbox from Porsche, a bunch of custom branded Steam Decks, and even a TMNT Mutant Mayhem pizza-scented Xbox controller. It's an extremely rare, very strange smelling collectible for Turtle fans. Check out the IGN video if you haven't. It's wild. IGN Rewards is open to all IGN users, so get in there and win some stuff.
I actually have that pizza controller, and I must say that if real pizza smelled like that pizza controller, I probably wouldn't like pizza.
I thought I could smell it in
Yes, the control, it's not on me. The controller itself, though, it rules. Anyway, IGN Rewards isn't the only place where you can win stuff. Whether you're here in person or watching from home, take part in Gamescom Epics, the text-adventure game of the show. That's a ton of fun and another chance to win very cool prizes. Head to now.gamescom.global to find out more.
And on that note, it's time for us to call it a day. From all of us here at IGN and Gamescom, thank you so much for watching Gamescom Studio Day 1, and we'll see you all tomorrow with a full day of exclusive gameplay trailers, reveals, interviews, and deep dives on the biggest games at Gamescom. Bye!
Goodbye!
The Cinefix Top 100. A list so secretive even we don't know what movies are on it or where they rank.
What do you mean you don't know?
Each episode will reveal one of the movies.
Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed. That was good. I liked it.
Talk about why it belongs and finally find out where it ranks.
Are you not entertained?
Are any of the movies we've shown here even on the list? I have no idea, and it drives me crazy. Join us as we find out on the Cinefix Top 100, Mondays, starting July 3rd.
Why so serious?
Hey, you. Yes, you. Do you have FOMC? Fear of missing Gamescom? Relax. Gamescom is everywhere you want. Gamescom now. Register now.
Tune into IGN 1 on your smart TVs for the latest news on your favorite releases, gameplay exclusives, and all the entertainment you can handle.
Cinefix on IGN 1, your friendly Friday night home for film fanaticism.
You're watching The Weekly Fix, ready to fill you in on anything you may have missed in the world of gaming and entertainment.
Welcome to Should I Play This? This is what to watch here on IGN 1.
Find it all in one place for free on IGN 1.
They turned into a network. Who knew?